Douluo Dalu. Life or Death Pact. It begins with a forced kiss to Qian Renxue. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. Encountering Douluo and poisoned Douluo in Douluo Forest. Therefore, Chu Ye planned to wait until he went out to get the second spirit ring before absorbing the spirit bone. Seeing Chu Ye so happy, Qian Renxue tilted her head and asked, "Chu Ye, you are so happy just to break through level 20. Of course, because I can absorb the second spirit ring." Okay, Chu Ye stood up and said expectantly, "I'm going to find a teacher and ask her to take me to the Douluo Great Forest to get the spirit ring. Chu Ye, you will practice alone in the next few days." "Yes, go quickly, I'll wait for you to come back. I'm leaving first." Chu Ye quickly left to find Bai Dong and told her about his spirit power breaking through level 20. As the Pope of the Spirit Hall, he actually has a lot of official business. Bai Dong happened to be very busy these days, so she instructed Douluo to take Chu Ye to the Douluo Great Forest. Chu Ye didn't care who took him. With Douluo's strength as a titled Douluo, he could fully meet all his requirements in the process. "Douluo, I'm sorry to bother you this time," Chu Ye said politely. "Hungry? Hehe, no trouble, leave it to me, I will help you find the most suitable spirit ring for you." Douluo seemed very happy. He covered his mouth and laughed excitedly, and with the demon voice and appearance, Chu Ye always felt that his laugh was very creepy and perverted. Hehe, thank you Douluo. Chu Ye smiled awkwardly, and subconsciously pulled a little distance from Douluo. The two immediately set off for the Douluo Great Forest. Along the way, Douluo took good care of Chu Ye and was unusually friendly, which made Chu Ye confused. He and Douluo had not had much contact. If it weren't for his young age, Chu Ye really doubted whether this guy was interested in him and wanted to have a gay relationship with me. "Chu Ye, we will be in the Douluo Great Forest soon. For you to absorb the second spirit ring, what are the requirements in terms of age?" Douluo asked. He knew that the conditions for Chu Ye to absorb the spirit ring could no longer be viewed according to common sense, so he had to ask. "When the time comes, Douluo, please catch me a 4,000-year-old one first." Chu Ye temporarily set a number, and then see if he wants a higher age. The second ring is 4,000 years. TSK, but your first ring is 2,000 years old, it should be no problem. "Okay, I'll add you one later." "Yeah." Chu Ye nodded. After a while, the two finally arrived at the outer area of the Douluo Great Forest. Soul beasts over 4,000 years old are relatively rare in the outermost area. Let's go deeper as soon as possible. There are many soul beasts between the outer area and the inner area, but it will take some distance. "Chu Ye, follow me closely." Douluo led Chu Ye deeper into it. It was very reassuring to have Douluo leading the way. Almost no soul beasts dared to approach, and all those who were not afraid of death were instantly knocked down by Douluo. In this unobstructed situation, the two quickly went deeper into it. Unknowingly, they had walked for several hours. Chu Ye was a little tired and wanted to stop and rest for a while, but at this time, Douluo took the initiative to stop and his face suddenly froze. Chu Ye noticed that Douluo's expression was not right, and asked, "What's wrong, Douluo? There is someone in front of us, and the aura is not weak. I'm afraid it's a titled Douluo level expert." "Someone? Or a titled Douluo?" Chu Ye hurriedly looked forward, and decisively gave up after not seeing anyone. It was obvious that Douluo was not using his eyes. The spiritual power of soul masters will increase as their levels increase. Experts of the level of titled Douluo can use their spiritual power to detect distances that cannot be seen by the naked eye. So Douluo used his spiritual power to perceive. "Don't talk first, let me see who it is." Douluo's eyes gradually focused, and the perception range of his spiritual power was instantly enhanced. Soon, Douluo laughed charmingly. "It turns out to be him." "Who is it?" "Douluo." Douluo responded. "Poison Douluo, has Douluo heard of it?" "It turns out to be Poison Douluo. I have heard that he is the best in the world in poison and is a titled Douluo who is very good at group attacks." Chu Ye certainly knew Poison Douluo. The Sunset Forest where this old poisoner practiced poison skills has an extremely cold and hot spring in the world, called the Yin Yang of Ice and Fire. There are the most fairy grass resources in the entire continent. Chu Ye has remembered these fairy grasses for a long time. He will not leave them for Tang San and Shriek's group. Before Tang San, Chu Ye will sooner or later find an opportunity to go there first and get the fairy grass in advance. Yes. It's him. Let's go, shall we? Seeing the momentum at Douluo, it seemed that he was going to cause trouble. Chu Ye followed him and asked, Elder Yuligan, you are not going to fight Poison Douluo, are you? If I take the initiative to avoid him when we meet outside, doesn't it mean that I am afraid of him? Douluo was very proud, and then confidently added, don't worry, he can't beat me. The only one who will run away will be him. Domineering. Elder Yuligan, then I will take a good look at your heroic appearance. Chu Ye flattered. He actually wanted to see this kind of battle between title Douluo levels, and he also hoped that Poison Douluo would be killed by Douluo, so that it would be much more convenient to get the immortal grass in the future. At the same time, there is another point. Poison Douluo is a big threat to the future unification of the continent by the Spirit Hall. Although this poisonous creature is the weakest among all the title Douluos and no one can beat him, it is undeniable that he can beat the enemy to only the title Douluo, and he is really strong in group attack. The means were extremely cruel. In the late Douluo Empire War, Poison Douluo used his own extremely strong group poison to attack and directly poisoned hundreds of thousands of people in Jieling Pass. Hundreds of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of lives. There were spirit masters from the Spirit Hall, soldiers from the Spirit Hall, and most importantly, innocent civilians in Jieling Pass. In this regard, Tang San, a double-standard dog who always defined himself as the righteous side, was indifferent and didn't care about their lives. He even responded to Qian Renxue's questioning, showing what is ruthless, cruel, and vicious. Just because the Spirit Hall and Tang San are the opposing parties, they are identified as bad people, and Tang San and others are right to kill people at will. In comparison, the Spirit Hall only eliminated tens of thousands of Spirit Masters from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. What's that? Is it so cruel? Therefore, it is better for a character like Poison Douluo to die early. Hihihi Chu Ye, just wait and see. Hearing Chu Ye's flattery, Douluo felt very pleased. He planned to show off in front of the younger generation he loved very much. Chapter 27. Burden. Poison Douluo's plan. On the other side, Douluo was about to leave the Qingdou Great Forest with his 8.5-year-old granddaughter Duguyan. This time he came here to help Duguyan get the second spirit ring. Although there are also a bunch of spirit beasts in the Sunset Forest where Duguo's mansion is located, they are at least above the 1,000-year level. In addition, generally, spirit masters who have the conditions will choose to come to the Qingdou Great Forest. There are the most types of spirit beasts here, and they can find any kind of spirit beasts they want, and it is easy to absorb the most suitable spirit ring age. You may find what you want in the hunting soul forest of the Wihun Hall, but it is more difficult to find one you want with the right spirit ring age. 100 years difference is also 100 years difference. Now, Duguo has helped his granddaughter get the second spirit ring and is ready to go home. Duguyan said happily, Grandpa, we're really lucky this time. Not only did we find the rare spirit tail venomous snake, but the age is just the same as you said, almost 800 years, which is the limit of what we can absorb. Aha, my granddaughter's luck is naturally not bad. Duguo stroked his beard and smiled. Although it's a bit difficult to absorb the spirit ring this time, but as Grandpa said, the second ring can exceed 764 years. I will never eat the theory of Master Poyu again. Duguo said. Yanyan, Grandpa has told you a long time ago, don't read what that rubbish wrote, such as the first ring limit of 423 years, the second ring of 764 years, what can a rubbish that is not even level 30 understand? It will only mislead the students. I know, Grandpa. The grandfather and grandson communicated, and soon, Poison Douluo finally noticed the chrysanthemum Douluo in front of him, and his face suddenly became gloomy. Chrysanthemum Pass. This guy actually has a junior who is about the same age as Yanyan. Poison Douluo sensed Chu Ye's existence and found that Chu Ye was only a wandering spirit master. He narrowed his eyes slightly and suddenly showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. The grudge between Chrysanthemum Douluo and Poison Douluo is not small, it can be regarded as a life and death feud. Poison Douluo hates Chrysanthemum Douluo very much. If these two people met in a place like the Douluo Great Forest, they would definitely fight. They had fought several times before. Every time, Poison Douluo challenged Chrysanthemum Douluo, but he was defeated and ran away every time. Although he couldn't win, Poison Douluo was still very stubborn and unconvinced. He had the same idea as Chrysanthemum Douluo. Now they met. If he was to be a coward and run away, how could he save face? Therefore, Poison Douluo would not choose to avoid. He would have to fight 2 games and leave with dignity. Although he knew he couldn't win, Poison Douluo was sure to escape with his granddaughter, not to mention that Chrysanthemum Douluo was accompanied by a younger generation. Yanyan, follow Grandpa. In this way, the 2 sides began to approach quickly and met each other in a short while. The 2 sides stopped about 50 meters apart. Chu Ye looked ahead and saw the little girl next to Douluo. She had short dark purple hair and a pair of green eyes. People of this age usually look quite cute, but in addition to being cute, she also gave people a weird feeling, which was quite unique. If I'm not mistaken, this girl should be Douluo's granddaughter Douluo. Chu Ye thought to himself. At this time, the 2 had begun to mock each other. Hey, old poison, we meet again. It should have been 3 or 4 years since you were beaten and fled by me last time. Wagyuan, I didn't expect you to bring the younger generation to the Xingdou Great Forest to obtain spirit rings. This kid is your apprentice. Poison Douluo ignored Douluo's ridicule and had his eyes on Chu Ye. If Chu Ye and Douluo have a good relationship, it will be easy. Today may be the first time that he, Poison Douluo, will make Douluo suffer. He can make Chu Ye a burden to Douluo, distract Douluo, and get the upper hand from Douluo. This is not a problem you should care about, old poison, now you should think about how to escape. Douluo sneered. Unexpectedly, Poison Douluo suddenly launched an attack, and a cloud of poison mist shot out from his palm, and the target of the attack was not Douluo but Chu Ye. Douluo was immediately furious. He immediately stood in front of Chu Ye and dispelled the poisonous fog with one move. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. You old poison creature, you actually attacked a junior. If anything happens to him, even if you escape back to Tiando City and Prince Zhu Exing protects you, you'll still die. Ha ha ha. It seems that this kid is very important to your spirit hall. Poison Douluo laughed. After this move, he already understood the importance of Chu Ye to Douluo. After knowing this, Poison Douluo thought about it in his heart and immediately became arrogant. Ha ha, escape. Douluo, today, you are the one who should escape. Green Scale Snake King. Poison Douluo released his spirit on the spot, and a huge green snake appeared, with a huge poisonous gas, and the 9 soul rings under his feet also appeared one by one, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, blab, 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 blab. Douluo couldn't understand why Poison Douluo was so arrogant and brave today. Could it be that this old poison creature has become stronger again after not seeing him for a few years? But Chrysanthemum Douluo was not afraid at all. The current on-time Chrysanthemum martial spirit was released. Similarly, 9 circles of soul rings appeared under his feet, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, blab, 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 blab. Old poison. Are you looking for death? Chrysanthemum Douluo directly killed Douluo, and Douluo also killed him. Boom boom boom. The terrifying power between the 2 titled Douluo strongmen collided at this moment. The battle was about to break out. Is this the power of a titled Douluo level strongman? Chu Ye looked at Chrysanthemum and Douluo's energy impact, which was a little shocking, and also made him clearly feel how weak he was now under such power. However, Chu Ye was not worried about Chrysanthemum Douluo at all. Chrysanthemum Douluo was level 95 and Douluo was level 92. The 3-level gap between the titled Douluo was very large, and Douluo could not be Chrysanthemum Douluo's opponent. It was precisely because he knew that Douluo could not win, so Chu Ye was a little surprised. Where did this Douluo get the courage today? Poison Douluo, who was in the midst of a soul battle with Douluo, transmitted his soul power to his granddaughter. Yanyan, help Grandpa today. Go and deal with that kid. He is only a wandering soul master and can't be your opponent. Don't kill him. This kid's identity should not be simple. Just seriously injure him. Okay, Grandpa. Douluo showed a somewhat evil smile. Looking at Douluo who was starting to come towards him, Chu Ye seemed to finally understand where Poison Douluo got the courage from today. Poison Douluo probably thought that he was no match for Douluo. Seeing himself being abused by Douluo, Douluo would definitely worry about whether Chu Ye would get into trouble, and thus be distracted. He might even be given an opportunity by Poison Douluo to inflict a heavy blow on him because of helping Chu Ye. Something happened suddenly, and another chapter may be posted later. Chapter 28. Teaching Douluo a lesson. This insidious old man has a good plan, but it's a pity. Your granddaughter is no match for me. Chu Ye sneered in his heart and walked towards Douluo, shouting as he walked. Elder Yuligan, you can fight with confidence, I don't have to worry about this. Douluo heard Chu Ye shout and began to concentrate on dealing with Douluo. Old poison, I haven't seen you for a few years. I want to see how much your strength is improved. First soul skill, self-admiration. Douluo's shrill voice rang out, and the two titled Douluos officially started a fierce battle. First soul skill, green scale snake king ball. Bang. 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 Seventh soul skill, martial soul true body. Chu and Douluo fought fiercely, smashing various soul skills, and soon activated the martial soul true body state at the same time. On the other side, Chu Ye and Yan also looked at each other, about 10 meters apart. Chu Ye said with a smile, "Hey, little girl, there is no need for us to fight. It's better to just sit here and enjoy the battle between the two titled Douluo. This is a rare opportunity." "Huh. You're younger than me, who are you calling a little girl? Brat, quickly release your martial spirit and fight me," Yan said with his hands on his waist. No, I don't like to hit girls." Chu Ye leaned against a tree lazily. "If you don't do it, then I will." Green scale snake martial spirit. Chu Ye looked at the green snake behind Yan. Although it looked much weaker than the green scale snake king of poison Douluo, the green scale snake should not be underestimated. It is also highly poisonous. Poison is a very disgusting attribute of all soul masters. They may not be able to beat the enemy, but they can poison the enemy to death. It is easy to achieve a leapfrog counterattack, but it is also easy to be killed by others. In addition, Yan is also a control-type poison soul master. Control-type soul masters are called the strongest type in single combat by most people. However, there are also subcategories of control-type soul masters, such as containment, field control, etc. And control-type soul masters like Yan can only show their huge advantages in team combat with the support of teammates, and they are not so advantageous in single combat. Chu Ye shrugged and smiled helplessly. "Why bother? You can't beat me, so there is no need to suffer a physical pain. TSK. My grandfather said that you are only a first ring soul master, and I have cultivated to the second ring. Where do you get the confidence to say that you can beat me?" Seeing Chu Ye's confident attitude, Yan was very unhappy. She herself was a very conceited character, so she would never think that she could not beat a first ring kid. "Watch this." Yan attacked with a palm with a strong poison. Snap. Bang. Chu Ye dodged easily and looked at the tree he had just leaned on. It had been pierced by a palm, and the tree and bark were being corroded by poison. "Since you are so ungrateful, I won't tolerate you anymore." Chu Ye's eyes became stern. He planned to teach this disobedient Yan a lesson. Sword of Gods and Demons. Chu Ye's sword instantly forced Yan. So fast. Yan was shocked and quickly retreated, mobilizing his soul power to block the sword. Bang. How can his sword be so powerful? Yan's face was ugly. He resisted with difficulty, but was still repelled by the sword. Damn, I mobilized so much soul power, but I couldn't block his sword. Hilly. Chu Ye smiled. His sword was endowed with the meaning of the Sword of Gods and Demons. Yan was not a strong attacking soul master who relied on strength, so how could he block it? He did not delay. When Yan was repelled, he quickly attacked and hit Yan's lower abdomen with the back of the hilt. Bang. Yan screamed, and her body was knocked out. While she was still being knocked out, Chu Ye turned around and caught up with her. He arrived behind Yan in advance, and used the blunt back of the sword to hit Yan's buttocks. There was a loud bang, full of elasticity. Ah. Yan made a strange cry, and fell directly to the ground with her face facing the grass, eating a mouthful of dirt. Poo-poo. It hurts. It hurts. Yan spit out the dirt in her mouth, holding her hurt buttocks with both hands, her face flushed. Chu Ye's series of surprise attacks and quick attacks made Yan unable to fight back. Damn it. You actually hit my buttocks. Yan was ashamed and angry. This made her whole body numb and uncomfortable, and her buttocks were also very painful. Her buttocks must have been swollen. She turned around and tried to get up, but found that Chu Ye's sword was pointing at her neck. The distance between the sword and her neck was less than a palm's length. "I'm showing mercy to you by spanking you at the back of the sword. If I had used the blade of the sword, your butt would have been bruised. Do you understand?" Yan said angrily. "Then you can't spank a girl. Do you know that this behavior is too much? Too much. Please. Do you think we are sparring in friendship? Your grandfather and Douluo are mortal enemies. It wouldn't be too much for me to kill you, so what's wrong with spanking you?" Chu Ye was speechless. This girl hadn't figured out the situation yet. He held Douluo's chin with the sword, lifted her head slightly, and looked down at Douluo who was sitting on the ground and said, "Now, you just sit still and don't move. As long as you listen, I won't kill you." Douluo stared at Chu Ye with resentment on her face. With the sword on her neck, she really didn't dare to move. But Douluo would not be willing to be subdued by Chu Ye, and began to secretly transmit poison to the ground. Suddenly, a cloud of green poisonous mist rose from the ground. Taking advantage of the gap between Chu Ye and the ground, Douluo instantly slapped the sword away with the palm and immediately pulled away. The poisonous mist rose and directly enveloped Chu Ye. Chu Ye quickly covered his mouth and nose to prevent the poison from penetrating into his body. Douluo's behavior had already angered Chu Ye a little. "You dead girl didn't stay well, and you dared to poison me. Today, I must teach you a lesson." "Humph. I'm going to teach you a lesson." Douluo snorted coldly and immediately released her solar skill. The first solar skill, green scale red poison. She first used this solar skill to stimulate her nerves, enhance her attack power and speed, and enhance her toxicity. Then, she immediately released her second solar skill, green scale blue poison. Soon, another poisonous mist instantly covered the entire venue, enveloping Chu Ye. Douluo introduced his solar skills with pride, and said, "My second solar skill is paralysis poison. It can..." "Wait a minute." Chu Ye interrupted Douluo's introduction directly, and naturally took out an antidote made by Bai Dong from the Space Soul Guide and swallowed it in one gulp. "Okay, you continue." Douluo. Chapter 29. Douluo was beaten to tears by Chu Ye, and Douluo was furious. Douluo was stunned. It can paralyze the opponent's nerves in a few seconds and affect the control of the body. Even if you cover your mouth and nose, it will penetrate into the body through the skin surface. But Douluo saw Chu Ye in the poisonous fog, as if nothing happened, and he was still there, moving his body very freely. "Are you done?" Douluo nodded subconsciously. "If you're done, then come and get beaten." The first solar skill, the double slash of gods and demons, the slash of light. 1000-year soul ring. How is it possible? Douluo was stunned, but he still used all his soul power to resist in time. But it was still useless. Douluo was knocked to the ground by a blow, completely losing his fighting ability and unable to move. Chu Ye rushed over aggressively, sat directly on Douluo's body, raised his palm, and hit Douluo's buttocks hard. Snap. You actually dared to hit me, snap. Why wouldn't I dare? I told you to be obedient but you didn't listen. This is the fate of being disobedient. Chu Ye gritted his teeth and slapped her again. Douluo screamed. Yan. You little brat, you actually treated my beloved granddaughter like this. Stop it now. Douluo was furious and roared at Chu Ye. Douluo, who was distracted by Douluo, was caught by Douluo and successfully hit by a blow. Old poison, you should take care of yourself. Douluo sneered and gave Chu Ye a thumbs up. Chu Ye ignored Douluo's roar and slapped Douluo's buttocks again. Stinky girl, are you still crazy? Douluo bit her lip and cursed. You bastard. I'm going to kill you. You have a stubborn temper. Then I'll beat you until you surrender. No. Douluo screamed again and again. She was tough and hard talking at the beginning, but finally she was a little scared at being beaten. She bit her lip, tears wet her eyes. Stop. Now, can you be a good boy? Chu Ye stopped beating. Douluo pouted her lower lip, looking very pitiful and aggrieved. With a crying voice, she looked at the boy sitting on her, nodded, and said, "Well, how unreasonable. How unreasonable. Boy. I will kill you." Seeing his granddaughter being beaten on the ground by Chu Ye, Douluo was completely furious. He didn't care about the risk of being seriously injured by Douluo, and he wanted to kill Chu Ye. Douluo would not miss this opportunity. Fifth solar skill, the gathering of cold heroes. Swish, puff. Poison Douluo burst into blood and was completely injured, but he ignored the pain and injuries, and now only wanted to save his granddaughter and kill Chu Ye. The terrible poison energy directly sucked up the bodies of Chu Ye and Douluo. How could Douluo let poison Douluo succeed? He took the lead in protecting Chu Ye. Knowing that he could no longer hurt Chu Ye, poison Douluo had to give up the killing and quickly fled with his granddaughter. The figure had disappeared, but poison Douluo's voice was full of murderous intent, echoing in this forest. Boy, no matter how much you were valued in the spirit hall, I, Douluo, will kill you with my own hands one day. Douluo did not chase him anymore. It was quite difficult to kill the severely injured poisoned Douluo with his strength. If he kept chasing him, he could, but poisoned Douluo could escape back to Tiando City, where Prince Zhu Exing would protect him. Now that the spirit hall has not arrived, it is not the right time to have a bad relationship with the Heaven Do Empire. Douluo patted Chu Ye's shoulder and said with a sense of security, "Don't worry, Chu Ye, he has no chance to touch you." "I'm not afraid, Elder Unicorn, let's go find the spirit ring." Chu Ye shrugged indifferently, not taking Douluo's words before leaving too seriously. However, today he really offended Douluo to death, and he must be careful if he goes to Heaven Do City in the future. "Let's go." Douluo was in a good mood and continued to look for a suitable spirit ring with Chu Ye. On the other side, Douluo took his granddaughter to escape to a safe distance, stopped, spit out a mouthful of blood, and his face was extremely ugly. He originally wanted to use Chu Ye to make Douluo suffer a loss so that he could get back once, but as a result, his granddaughter became the object of Douluo's use, causing him to suffer a loss. Douluo was so angry that he really didn't expect Chu Ye, who had a first ring, to beat his granddaughter, who had a second ring. It was really like shooting himself in the foot, and Douluo felt very aggrieved. "Grandpa, are you okay?" Douluo looked worried. "Grandpa is fine, Yang you." Douluo felt very guilty. Douluo threw herself into Douluo's arms. She covered her buttocks and cried, "Whoa, that guy beat my buttocks so hard I feel that my buttocks are all broken, whoa. Damn kid." Douluo roared helplessly, his eyes full of murderous intent. "Yang, don't worry, Grandpa will seek justice for you for today's revenge." Douluo also hated Chu Ye from then on, and even in the days to come, she would often see Chu Ye's face in today's scene. "Elder Unicorn, you were not injured in the battle just now, right?" Chu Ye asked on the way to find the soul ring. Douluo smiled. Haha, it's okay, thanks to you just now, I have fought with this old poison many times, and this is the first time I have so easily injured him. That's fine. Chu Ye also smiled. After this battle, the relationship between him and Douluo seemed to become a little more cordial. If it weren't for the antidote for all poisons that Bai Bai Dong prepared for me in advance, I would have suffered a lot in the face of Douluo's poison. It seems that I need to learn the method of practicing poison from Bai Bai Dong in the future. Chu Ye thought to himself. He himself cannot resist poison. If Douluo finds an opportunity to face him alone in the future, he will have more confidence if he can play with poison. In addition, Tang-san also plays with poison, which can be regarded as a precaution in advance. Bai Bai Dong is actually a top master of playing with poison, but she doesn't care about using other poisons other than her own martial spirit poison as a means. Chu Ye withdrew his thoughts and began to concentrate on following Douluo into the Xingdou Great Forest. After a long time, the two finally arrived at the area between the outer area and the inner area. There are already a large number of soul beasts of thousands of years here. Douluo casually caught one and let Chu Ye take a look. Chu Ye released the Sword of Gods and Demons to sense, and immediately showed a rejection state, which was obviously too young. Elder Unicorn, let's try to improve it for another 1,000 years. Okay, Douluo went to catch it again, and started to increase it by 1,000 years, and finally stopped after catching 6,000 years. Okay, Elder Unicorn, I want a 6,000-year soul beast for the second ring. Chu Ye smiled. 6 or 7 years. You're really so terrifying. Okay, let's go find a soul beast that suits you for 6,000 years. After searching for 2 days, Douluo brought a large soul beast and threw it in front of Chu Ye. Chapter 30 Absorbing the Second Ring. Qian Renxue. Can I level up while taking a bath? Here, this is the sword-horned beast you want. Its cultivation has reached 6,000 years. This time, I'm troubling Elder Unicorn. Chu Ye thanked him. He actually hit several precise targets before he came, and the sword-horned beast was one of them. This is a large soul beast that walks on 4 legs. It is named because it has a horn similar to a sword on its head. Hey, this little thing is not worth mentioning. Douluo waved his hand, and then said, now, go and absorb it. I will protect you. Thank you, Elder Unicorn. Chu Ye nodded, and the Sword of Gods and Demons appeared in his hand. With one sword, he entered the 6,000-year-old sword-horned beast. He immediately absorbed it and sat down, and began to absorb the second soul ring. As the 6,000-year-old purple soul ring was mobilized and attached to his body, Chu Ye's body was immediately hit by a huge soul energy. the soul rings gradually merged, and the soul power in Chu Ye's body began to increase rapidly. Bang! After a moment, a soul power wave spread out. Chu Ye's soul power broke through to level 21. His soul power continued to surge, and soon, another soul power fluctuation spread out, level 22. It didn't stop, it continued. Level 23. Peak of level 23. The restless soul power in Chu Ye finally calmed down. Wow, Chu Ye's soul power has risen 3 levels in a row. Douluo was surprised and happy. Chu Ye opened his eyes, felt the strength of his body at the moment, clenched his fists slightly, and said with a surge, "Peak of level 23, it's a little short again. However, it will take at most 10 days to break through level 24. Chu Ye was quite satisfied. In addition to stronger skills, the benefit of absorbing soul rings at higher levels is that it can quickly increase levels. Every time you absorb a soul ring, you can increase several levels, which means you can practice a few years less than others, or even 10 or 20 years. The gap here is very large. 23 levels at the age of 7, from awakening the martial soul to the innate full soul power of level 10, to practicing to the current level 23, it only took less than a year and 2 months, and increased by 13 levels. This speed was something Chu Ye had never dared to think about before. On the other side, Qian Renxue, who had just finished taking a bath at home, was very surprised and called out through telepathy, "Chu Ye, have you absorbed all the soul rings?" Chu Ye responded, "How did you know?" "My soul power inexplicably broke through from level 36 to level 37. What a surprise. I thought it must be that you absorbed the soul ring." Qian Renxue was very happy. She never thought that one day she would be upgraded after taking a bath. She could also be upgraded by taking a bath. The cultivation sharing of the life and death contract is not only through the channel of cultivation and sharing. Any party who increases their soul power by any means will share part of it with the other party. Qian Renxue's soul power had already been cultivated to level 36 and was almost at its peak. Under the wave of New Year's Eve, she broke through directly. Chu Ye smiled and said, "Ha, yes, my soul power has broken through to the peak of level 23 after absorbing the soul ring." The two communicated with each other in their minds. At this time, Douluo came over and asked curiously, "Chu Ye, how is it? What kind of soul skill did you get?" "LDU, my second soul skill is a self-strengthening and amplification skill." Chu Ye did not elaborate. Douluo did not ask in detail, self-strengthening and amplification soul skill. Not bad, this is basically the type of skill that a strong attack soul master will have. Yes. Chu Ye smiled. It is necessary to get an amplification soul skill among the soul skills of the 9 soul rings. He is quite satisfied with this. This second soul skill is called the God and Demon Sword Body. The 3 attributes of strength, speed, and flesh are all increased by 100%, and the sword attack power is increased by 50%, and the power of all sword soul skills is increased by 50%. It can be said that it is very cool. The God and Demon Sword Body is like a switch. It is released first. In this state, the power of all skills is increased. Imagine if the 9th soul skill is increased by 50%, the effect can be imagined to be powerful. Douluo glanced at the sky and said, "It's getting late. Let's rest for a night and set off the next day." Okay. Chu Ye also had the same idea. He wanted to absorb the 50,000-year-old immortal bird trunk bone tonight. Late at night. At 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, Douluo had already taken protective measures around him. At this depth, no soul beast would dare to approach, and both of them could sleep peacefully. Looking at the sleeping Douluo, Chu Ye quietly got up and left. He didn't dare to walk too far in the Qingdou Great Forest. He stopped after he was about the same distance, and then took out the immortal bird trunk bone. "Come on, I will soon be a soul master with soul bones." Looking at the soul bone emitting a fiery red light in front of him, Chu Ye couldn't wait any longer, and he absorbed it immediately. After a while, the absorption was over, and the 50,000-year-old immortal bird trunk bone officially merged with Chu Ye's body and became a part of his body. Once absorbed, the soul bone cannot be stripped off, and it basically accompanies you for life. Of course, when the soul power reaches the title Douluo realm, it can be forcibly stripped off, but the price is to cut off the limbs of the absorbed part, and the soul power will drop by 10 levels. Therefore, absorbing soul bones is a very cautious matter, but the phoenix trunk bone can be infinitely improved, so there is no need to consider too much. When Chu Ye finished absorbing, his soul power became larger and his body became much stronger. Soul bones improve not only the effects, special attributes, and soul bone skills, but also that body and soul power. Soul power does not represent the improvement of soul power level, but the capacity of soul power. At the same level, people with soul bones will have larger soul power. With my current strength, I am not afraid even when facing a soul sect level strongman. I wonder what will happen if I fight against a soul king. Chu Ye analyzed. After all, he has never really fought, and he is not sure how many levels of strongman he can challenge in a full-strength battle. He retracted his thoughts and returned to Douluo. When Chu Ye came back, he deliberately made some noise. Douluo woke up after noticing the noise and asked, "Chu Ye, where did you go?" "Oh, I didn't go anywhere. I just walked around. The Qingdou Great Forest is full of dangers. You can't walk around with your current strength." I understand. Elder Yuigan doesn't need to be so nervous." Chu Ye smiled. Douluo looked serious and said with a bit of exaggeration, "How can I not be nervous? If something happens to you kid around me, His Holiness the Pope will kill me." Chu Ye. Don't worry. Douluo. I'm not worried." Chu Ye smiled and walked to Douluo and sat down. Looking at the enchanting man next to him, his impression of Douluo has actually changed a lot. This person. He is not a good person, but he is definitely not a bad person. Many things about good and evil are actually hard to tell. At least from Chu Ye's point of view, Douluo is not bad. He suddenly asked with a hint of deep meaning, "Elder Yuigan, I heard that you have been looking for a flower called Acacia Heartbroken Red for decades, right? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 31 Qian Renxue's second request, kill the target. Douluo's eyes flashed with deep desire, and he replied, "Yes, Acacia Heartbroken Red is the legendary king of flowers. It is a rare fairy product that only appears once in 1,000 years. It is extremely precious. I have been looking for it all my life, but I don't have any clues. I'm afraid that I will never get this flower in this life. Alas." Douluo sighed heavily. He was so obsessed with Acacia Heartbroken Red. If he could absorb it, he could also reach the realm. Douluo was referring to the realm, which was the 99th level Peerless Luo. Chu Ye said meaningfully, "Elder Yuigan, what if I can find this flower for you?" Ha ha ha. Douluo took it as a joke, but his response was also true. "If you can find Acacia Heartbroken Red for me, I, Douluo, will follow your lead for the rest of my life. I'm willing to serve you." Chu Ye looked at Douluo meaningfully. In fact, the Acacia Heartbroken Red he was thinking about was in the Sunset Forest. There are too many top-grade immortal herbs there. If you can get them, it won't be a big deal to give Acacia Heartbroken Red to Douluo. But for now, we still need to consider it. Hilly. Chu Ye agreed with a smile, and didn't continue to talk about this topic in depth. The next day, early in the morning, the sun slowly rose, and the sunlight passed through the woods where Chu Ye was, splashing on his face. He opened his eyes in a daze, and heard the crowing of chicken-souled beasts. "It's dawn, let's go back to Wuhan City." Okay. The two set off. More than a day later, Chu Ye finally returned to the Pope's palace in Wuhan City. Chu Ye went to find Bai Bai Dong as soon as possible and told her about the situation of absorbing the soul ring. Knowing that Chu Ye had absorbed for 6,000 years and his soul power reached level 23, she was very happy. "Chu Ye, you were great, keep working hard in the future." "I know. By the way, teacher, this time when I went to the Qingdou Great Forest, I encountered an emergency. I fought with a soul master who used poison. If it weren't for the antidote for all poisons that the teacher prepared for me in advance, I'm afraid I would have suffered a little loss, so I want to learn from you the method of practicing poison." Chu Ye said. "If you learn the method of practicing poison at your age now, it will delay your progress in cultivation." Bai Bai Dong said. "It's okay, teacher, my soul power is already level 23. It's hard for others to catch up with me if I take some time to learn other things." Chu Ye grinned. "You kid." Bai Bai Dong smiled dotingly. Although she didn't recommend it, since Chu Ye wanted to learn now, she would teach him wholeheartedly. "Okay, starting tomorrow, the teacher will take some time out every day to teach you the method of practicing poison." "Thank you, teacher." Chu Ye responded with a smile. There are less than 11 months left before Qian Renxue's second request. During the following period, Chu Ye continued to practice soul power improvement, combat training, and martial soul research at the same time. In addition, he also practiced sword intent, the 6 angel sword techniques, and the newly added poison training method. But the most important thing is to improve soul power, combat, and practice sword intent and sword technique in 3 directions. He was very busy every day, leaving home early and returning late, sweating. When he got home, he was sometimes so tired that he fell asleep in bed. Day after day, Chu Ye was making progress every day. His soul power improved, his combat skills became stronger, his sword comprehension became higher and deeper, and he also made some achievements in the research of poison. His efforts were obvious to all. Because of Chu Ye, a wave of practice craze was directly set off among all the disciples of the Spirit Hall. The most common sentence heard by everyone was, "Chu Ye, such a genius, works so hard. What qualifications do we have not to work hard? Stand up and keep practicing." The disciples were all influenced by him and practiced harder and harder. The top leaders of the Spirit Hall were very satisfied with this atmosphere. This was exactly what they wanted to see. Unknowingly, 10 months later, Chu Ye is now 8 years old. He has grown a lot taller. His cute little face has lost some of its cuteness and become more masculine, looking more mature. He is also more handsome, with a handsome face and features. He will definitely be a handsome guy when he grows up. After 10 months of hard work, Chu Ye still couldn't figure out the second sword of the Angel's 6 swordsmanship, but he has improved a lot in other aspects. His soul power has just reached level 27 a few days ago. There is only 1 month left before Qian Dalu's second request. At this time, a cardinal from the Spirit Hall found Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were practicing dual cultivation. He said very respectfully, "Master Qian Renxue, Master Chu Ye, His Holiness the Pope and the elders are waiting in the Elder Hall. Please follow me." "Is it finally come in?" "Chu Ye, I guess it is." "Let's go, Swear." "Yeah." Chu Ye and Qian Renxue looked at each other, and they both guessed what was going on. The two stood up simultaneously, shoulder to shoulder, with a firm look in their eyes, and followed the cardinal to the Elder Hall. Boom, boom, boom. The huge stone door of the Elder Hall slowly opened, and the scorching sun shone into the slightly dim hall. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue began to step into it and stood in the center of the hall. The Pope, the 6 great priests, and all the elders of the Spirit Hall have gathered, and their eyes are all on Chu Ye. "Chu Ye, are you ready to accept the second requirement I set?" Qian Dalu's voice sounded majestically. Chu Ye questioned, "Great priest, don't we still have a month?" "The remaining month is the time for you to go out to perform the mission," Qian Dalu said, and a data book appeared in his hand and threw it to Chu Ye. Chu Ye took the data book and opened it. It detailed the second mission target object required to be killed. Name: Li Yuanba. Gender: male. Age: 52 years old. Soul Master type: strong attack system. Martial soul: Flame Leopard. Soul power: about level 65. Strong attack Spirit Master, Spirit power level 65. Not bad, your grandfather didn't find us a level 69. The two communicated with each other. Qian Dalu continued, "You have seen the information, this person is your second target to be killed. Starting from tomorrow, you must complete it within 1 month. You cannot borrow the power of others during the battle, you can only kill him by yourself." According to our Wuhan Hall's investigation, Li Yuanba is currently in a small city called Noting City in the Fazno province, southwest of the Tiando Empire. His exact whereabouts are unknown, but you can ask the Wuhan branch hall in Noting City to assist in the investigation. This mission is also a training for you. We will not send any masters to protect you secretly. Don't expect anyone to save you when the time comes. Chapter 32. Why are you everywhere? Will you die if you don't speak, Elder Snakespear? So, if you are not sure, don't act rashly. You can give up. If you insist on acting, you'll die. That's your fate. Bai Dong also looked serious and tried to persuade him. Chu Ye, the 65th level Soul Emperor is still too difficult for you now. In addition, Li Yuanba is also an extremely cruel and vicious person. Once you lose, you'll definitely die. It's not too late to regret now. You don't need to risk your life for this. Chu Ye looked at Qian Renxue and said, "Swear, are you afraid?" "I'm not afraid." "Okay." Chu Ye nodded and looked at Bai Dong with a firm look in his eyes. "Teacher, I have made up my mind. You don't need to persuade me anymore." Hehe, a great Soul Master and a Soul Master dare to go and kill the Soul Emperor. You two young people are really not afraid of death. Don't cry and beg for someone to save you when the time comes. Snakespear Douluo said with a little ridicule. The Great Soul Master and the Soul Master joined forces to kill a strong attacking Soul Emperor? Snakespear Douluo didn't believe they could do it. The titled Douluo present also thought it was unlikely. In Snakespear Douluo's opinion, Chu Ye's current determination is to not cry until he sees the coffin. When the time comes for a real life and death battle, he will know what true fear and terror are. Many people only regret when they are really about to die. Snakespear is looking forward to Chu Ye being scared by the Soul Emperor and running back. Chu Ye was very annoyed and said speechlessly, "Why are you everywhere? You always have to interrupt. Will you die if you don't speak? Elder Snakespear." You. Snakespear Douluo was instantly furious, but considering the situation, he could only hold back and said with gritted teeth, Okay. Boy, you'd better complete the mission successfully and come back." The conflict between the two people deteriorated violently again, and Chu Ye didn't care. It was already like this, and it wouldn't make much difference if it deteriorated further. He no longer paid attention to Snakespear Douluo and said loudly, "In a month, we will come back with Li Yuanba's head. Let's go." Swear. Chu Ye turned and left. Looking at the back of the boy leaving gracefully, Qian Renxue's face showed a happy smile. She took a step and caught up with Chu Ye. The two came side by side and left side by side. "Chu Ye, when are we leaving? It's better to do it today than today." "Okay, then I'll go back and pack my luggage." "Yeah, go ahead, pack your things and we'll meet directly outside the gate of the Pope's palace." Okay, the two separated temporarily, went back to their own homes, and packed their things. Chu Ye basically didn't have much to prepare, so he brought 2 sets of clothes, underwear, and some poisons. Then he called the coachman who served the Pope's palace, and the carriage, and waited at the door. Waiting and waiting, unknowingly waiting for almost an hour, seeing Qian Renxue had not arrived yet, Chu Ye sighed helplessly. "Hey, Zhuye, why are you so slow? It's just packing luggage. Can it take so long?" But as a boy, it's okay to wait for a girl for a while. Chu Ye waited patiently. Soon, Qian Renxue finally came out. She had light makeup on her face, and was wearing a snow-white dress, white stockings, and white shoes. She was obviously dressed up carefully. Chu Ye was slightly stunned. Qian Renxue was particularly beautiful after dressing up like a fairy. The bright smile on her face seemed to melt his heart. Qian Renxue has gradually acquired the charm and flavor of an adult girl. Her breasts have begun to develop, her figure is getting better and better, and her hips are getting more and more perky. She is becoming more and more sexy and charming, with the charm and temptation of a woman. Chu Ye suddenly realized that Qian Renxue is gradually changing from a girl to a woman. Yeah. Time flies so fast. I didn't realize that Zhuye is already a little woman at the age of 11. Chu Ye shook his head and smiled. In fact, you don't feel much change when you walk together every day. Many times, you suddenly feel that the familiar girl has grown up. Author. I would like to mention that people in Douluo world develop faster. An 11-year-old can be considered as an adult, and 13, 4, or 5 years old can be considered as an adult. Look at Zhu King when she first appeared. She was 12 years old, and she had a well-developed body with a plump and hot figure. Chu Ye, I'm here. I hope I've kept you waiting for a long time, Qian Renxue said apologetically. It's okay, I'll just wait for a while. Qian Renxue blushed slightly, and asked shyly, then do you think my dress looks good? Chu Ye took a closer look and gave a very pertinent comment, it has to look good. You'll look good in anything you wear. But Zhuye, we are going on a mission and to have fun, why do you have to wear something so pretty? This is our first time traveling far away. Although we are on a mission, it can also be considered a trip. Okay, let's get in the car. Chu Ye nodded. Yes. After the two of them got on the carriage and sat down, the driver asked, Master Qian Renxue, Master Chu Ye, are you going directly to Noting City? Yes. Okay. Let's go. The driver drove the horse, and the carriage began to drive away from the Pope's palace quickly. In the car, Qian Renxue chatted, Hey, Chu Ye, do you think Grandpa and the others really won't send someone to protect us secretly? Hehe, they are just trying to scare us. They deliberately said that just to make us give up. If we really encounter danger, they won't let us die. Chu Ye smiled, he was very sure of this. In his memory, there was no Douluo world without Chu Ye. The golden generation of the Spirit Hall, Liana, Shiyu, and Yan, as long as they went to dangerous places, there were people protecting them in secret. Chu Ye's talent is the most talented among all the disciples of the Spirit Hall. In addition, he is a disciple taught by Bai Baidong. It is impossible that there is no one to protect him secretly on this trip, not to mention that the young master of the Spirit Hall, Qian Renxue, is also there. How could they let the two of them get into trouble? Didn't the elders just want to scare Chu Ye and Qian Renxue because they were young? That's right. Qian Renxue nodded. Although there are people protecting us in secret, we should also treat them as if they don't exist psychologically, because if the people protecting us in secret take action, it means that our mission has failed. Well, I understand. By the way, Chu Ye, have you killed anyone? Chu Ye suddenly asked. Qian Renxue's heart was broken and she shook her head. No. If you have never killed anyone, you will definitely feel uncomfortable that first time you kill someone, or you will be a little hesitant and unable to do it. Killing people and killing soul beasts have completely different meanings, and the psychological impact is also completely different. In order to avoid this situation from happening, hesitating, not being able to do it, not being firm and decisive, and missing the best opportunity, Chu Ye must emphasize this point, although he himself may also be affected. While speaking to Qian Renxue, he was also speaking to himself. Chu Ye, listen carefully, according to the information your grandfather gave us. Chapter 33. Set off. Nottingham City. According to the information your grandfather gave us, Li Yuanba is an extremely evil and vicious villain. 5 years ago, he slaughtered hundreds of innocent people in the streets of a city in the Xingluo Empire and insulted many women. In order to let go of his crimes, he was wanted by the Empire and our Wuhan Hall. At the time, the Wuhan branch hall in that city immediately sent soul masters to capture him, but because they were just ordinary branch hall level soul masters and were not strong, they were soon brutally killed by Li Yuanba, who was a soul emperor, and even tortured to death. When the Xingluo Empire's army arrived, Li Yuanba had already fled, so Chu Ye, such a scum, deserves to die. And he deserves to be killed. At the time, we must not have a trace of mercy, we must be firm in our beliefs and decisive. Chu Ye was extremely serious. I understand. Qian Renxue took a breath, and her heart was affected by Chu Ye's words, and she remembered them deeply. Soon, the horse was close to the city gate. Finally, we are going to leave the city. Qian Renxue said. Yeah. This is my first time leaving Wuhan City. Looking at the city gate that was about to arrive, Chu Ye was still looking forward to it. He had never seen what the outside world was like. Chu Ye was surprised when he first learned that he was going to Noting City, the destination this time. Because Noting City might be the city he was most familiar with besides Wuhan City, and there were people he knew there. For example, there was a village called Shenmun Village near Noting City, where the decadent Tang Ada was living in seclusion, making a living by running a blacksmith shop. Tang San must still be in Shenmun Village. Counting the time, Tang San should not be more than 3 years old at present. In addition to the Tang family father and son, there is also that famous blind Douluo Suyun Tao in Noting City, and the most annoying Yu Xiaogan. If I am not mistaken, Yu Xiaogan is now staying in Noting College, eating and drinking for free, right? I guess I won't meet Tang San this time. As for Yu Xiaogan, it's better not to let me meet him. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I will do something out of line when I see that face that deserves a beating. Chu Ye thought to himself. The carriage also drove out of Wuhan City at this time. On the high wall of the city gate, Douluo silently looked at the carriage going away, and the next second, he followed it. This time, Chu Ye Qian Renxue ended out to perform the mission, and the person they secretly protected was Douluo. However, he would not show up unless there was a life-threatening situation. Noting City is actually not far from Wuhan City, but it still takes a few days to travel. Using the few days of rushing on the road, the two practiced while discussing combat strategies, how to deal with Li Yuanba, the level 65 Soul Emperor. They stopped and walked along the way, passing through several towns and villages, but there was no emergency. Chu Ye also saw the world outside Wuhan City for the first time with his own eyes. He found that most of the land area of Douluo Continent was uninhabited, with barren mountains and ridges, and mountains everywhere. Most of the human beings gather in cities, and in towns and villages around cities. Outside the scope of the city, there are very few places for human beings to live and live. They are very remote, with relatively poor living conditions, and most importantly, the public security is also very bad. Once something happens in such a place, rescuers cannot arrive in the first time. In Chu Ye's opinion, as long as it is out of the scope of the city, it is an illegal area. It is conceivable that there should be frequent robberies, thefts, or murders. This world does not seem to be as beautiful as Chu Ye imagined at first, especially for ordinary people who cannot become soul masters. It may be a small luxury to go on a long journey. After a few days of travel, the two finally arrived at Noting City. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue looked forward through the carriage window and saw a city surrounded by high walls. There were 3 big characters engraved on the wall. Noting City. Master Qian Renxue, Master Chu Ye, we will be in Noting City soon. The driver said at this time. Well, let's drive directly to the Wuhan branch hall here. Chu Ye said. Okay. Go. The carriage drove directly into Noting City. Noting City is actually just a small city, but because of its geographical location at the border of the Tiando Empire and very close to the edge of the Xingluo Empire, it is the junction of the 2 empires. Merchants often come and go here, so it has also driven a certain economy, making the people living in this small city a little richer. Qian Renxue was curious about the unfamiliar city, and she suddenly suggested, Chu Ye, why don't we get off the car and walk to the branch hall, and take a look by the way, how about it? Okay. Anyway, this mission is long enough, and Chu Ye doesn't care if he is not in a hurry. Master, stop the car, you drive to the branch hall first, and we will walk there by ourselves. Okay, then I will go first. The driver nodded and left first. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue walked around while walking towards the Wuhan branch hall. Qian Renxue admired the scenery and buildings along the way, while Chu Ye observed the surrounding terrain, pattern, and route. After all, Li Yuanba was in the city, and when the action was made, it was very likely to be in Noting City, so it was necessary to observe the terrain in advance. As the two walked, they actually came to the vicinity of Noting Soul Master Junior College. Is this Noting College, the starting point of Tangsan Soul Master Road? Chu Ye stopped and looked at it twice. What's wrong, Chu Ye? Qian Renxue asked in confusion. It's okay, let's keep going. Chu Ye shook his head. The two continued to walk forward and soon came to a 3-way intersection. Going straight was the direction of the Wuhan branch hall, and the right was the entrance to the Noting College. Chu Ye stood in the center of the 3-way intersection and turned his head to look at the direction of the Noting College gate. He unexpectedly found that a Noting student was worshipping a man in black clothes, holding a book in his hand, and about 40 years old. And this man was Yu Xiaogan. Oh? I really met this waste. Chu Ye's eyes flashed with some disgust. Chu Ye, who already hated Yu Xiaogan, hated him even more when he saw him. After seeing him with his own eyes, Chu Ye felt very puzzled. This rubbish had no good looks and no strength. He was a scumbag with half-level innate soul power. He has practiced until now, about 40, and he has not even reached level 30. How could Bai Bai Dong fall in love with such a rubbish who is so ordinary and useless? The key is that Yu Xiaogan is a complete scumbag, hypocritical, and disgusting. I don't know what despicable means he used to deceive Bai Bai Dong, who was very innocent, simple, and kind when she was a girl. Then he used Bai Bai Dong's identity and connections to get a seat as an elder in the Spirit Hall and plagiarized a lot of Spirit Master theoretical knowledge from the Spirit Hall. Chapter 34. Hypocritical Yu Xiaogan. Finally, he sorted out the plagiarized knowledge and came up with a theory of the top 10 core competitiveness. These theories are considered rubbish by any Soul Master family with a little background. Most of the theories are inconsistent and conflicting, and they don't make sense at all. He is a person who has the opportunity to plagiarize the knowledge of the Spirit Hall, the place with the most comprehensive Soul Master knowledge in the whole continent. With theoretical knowledge that he can't touch by himself and can't study on his own, he came up with something that is mostly wrong in theory, and deceived people on the mainland. It can be said that Yu Xiaogan's current achievements as a master are all given by the Spirit Hall and Bai Bai Dong. As a result, he used Bai Bai Dong to plagiarize a lot of knowledge and gained identity and status. Because Qian Renxue didn't agree with Bai Bai Dong being with him. Probably because he was afraid of being killed by Qian Renxue, Yu Xiaogan abandoned Bai Bai Dong and got together with his cousin Luo Long in a blink of an eye. When Bai Bai Dong was in the secret room of Qian Renxue, and was suffering from the pain and torture left by the insult, Yu Xiaogan and Luo Long, 2 dogs and bitches, were flirting with each other. Later, he even had the nerve to use the Elder Token of the Spirit Hall, and asked Bai Bai Dong for the method of practicing twin spirits, and then taught Tang San, to the son of the enemy of the Spirit Hall. How shameless and disgusting. Trash. Master, please accept me as your disciple. At this time, the student had already knelt on his knees, and sincerely wanted to become a disciple, and handed his student information sheet to Yu Xiaogan. Yu Xiaogan was still a little surprised in his heart. Although he was well known in the spirit master world and had the so-called master name, in fact, many people looked down on him, and even some part-time students in Noting College were looked down upon by others. Therefore, Yu Xiaogan was quite surprised that someone would actually want to become his disciple, and he looked at the student's information with expectation. The martial soul, chrysanthemum leaf flower, is also a kind of useless martial soul. It can be seen in the flowers and plants planted in the city. It is a martial soul of the same level as the blue silver grass. Half-level soul power. Isn't this the same waste as me? The martial soul is still so rubbish. If I accept him, how can I cultivate him? At the time, I will only be ridiculed by the world. I will laugh at my theory even more. Yu Xiaogan shook his head. He was very disgusted in his heart, but he still looked sanctimonious in his words and deeds. Sorry, this student, I don't accept disciples, you should find someone else. I'm just a part-time student from the countryside, and my soul power is only half-level. The teachers in the academy will not accept me as a disciple. Master, we are both people with half-level innate soul power, so please accept me as a disciple. Hearing that this student came to him to become his apprentice because no one wanted him, and he also specifically mentioned his half-level innate soul power, Yu Xiaogan's face suddenly darkened. Half-level soul power is the pain of his life. Yu Xiaogan was a little upset, and said bluntly, I don't accept disciples. Master. The student didn't want to give up easily, because the teachers in the academy didn't pay much attention to him, and when he absorbed the spirit ring, they would just find him a 10-year spirit ring to fool him. But if he could find someone to be his disciple and have one-on-one tutoring, it would be different. If he was not lucky, he could have a 100-year spirit ring at the beginning, and at least a few decades of spirit ring. Decades are better than 10 years. At this time, Chu Ye's voice sounded behind that two of them. Half-level with half-level is quite suitable. But he won't accept you as a disciple. The two looked at Chu Ye, who was walking slowly. Why are you so sure? The student asked, puzzled. Need I say that? Because you can't create any value or benefit for him to use, he doesn't have the ability to train you well. If he accepts you, not only will he fail to prove the only theory he can be proud of, but it will also make his theory look even more unsuccessful and rubbish. Am I right, Master Yu? Chu Ye mercilessly exposed Yu Xiaogan's true thoughts. The truth in his heart was revealed, which made Yu Xiaogan look very ugly. Naturally, he would not admit this. He said in a deep voice, where did this young man come from? I don't accept him because I don't accept disciples, not because he lacks talent. Chu Ye laughed. If you don't like him, then you like him. If you insist on saying that you don't accept disciples, what's wrong with admitting this? You are really hypocritical. At such a young age, you are so outspoken and full of nonsense, and you say that my theory is a failure. What can you understand at your age? Yu Xiaogan's heart was burning with anger. Those powerful soul masters looked down on him and said that his theory was rubbish. After all, he couldn't afford to offend him, but a little kid was also despised like this, and he was not taken seriously, which was really unbearable for Yu Xiaogan. No matter how useless he is a person who cares about face. How much knowledge of soul master theory can he understand at such a young age? He said angrily, if you can't point out any problems with my theory, today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents. Yo, I said you are hypocritical and your theory is rubbish. I was telling the truth. Are you going to hit someone just because you are unhappy? Chu Ye was disgusted. It was obviously because of his words that he lost face that he wanted to hit someone. He had to find a hypocritical reason. It just so happened that Chu Ye would feel uncomfortable if he didn't give this hypocritical and disgusting scumbag a good beating today. He sneered and said, then go ahead and see if you can beat me. The quarrel here has attracted many noting students and several teachers who came in and out to watch. If he doesn't teach this kid a lesson today, he, Yu Xiaogan, will not be able to raise his head in Noting College in the future. It seems that you can't point out any problem with my theory. Then you have to pay the price for your untrue words and deeds. Now, I will discipline you on behalf of your parents. After all, Yu Xiaogan is also a 40-year-old man. Hitting an 8-year-old child is also a matter of loss of face and status, so he has to find a reason to discipline on behalf of the parents. How powerful can an 8-year-old child be? No matter how useless he is also a 29th level Great Soul Master. Yu Xiaogan rushed over and raised his arm, wanting to slap Chu Ye in the face. Unexpectedly, Chu Ye dodged Yu Xiaogan's palm very flexibly, and slapped Yu Xiaogan's face with his backhand. Fuck you. Chu Ye slapped Yu Xiaogan hard. There was a loud snap, and Yu Xiaogan screamed. Ah! Chu Ye slapped Yu Xiaogan several meters away with one slap, and knocked him to the ground with one slap. Chapter 35. Beating up Yu Dashi and Yu Xiaogan. I was beaten by this kid. Yu Xiaogan's eyes widened, feeling his red and hot cheeks in disbelief. He couldn't believe that he was slapped to the ground by an 8-year-old kid. Looking at the students watching around and the mocking eyes and words of the teachers, Yu Xiaogan felt humiliated. This dealt a strong blow and insult to Yu Xiaogan's self-esteem. He could no longer pretend to be a gentleman, and his expression was a little ferocious, a little broken. He wanted to use his martial spirit to deal with Chu Ye. Luo-san. Hey, don't be in a hurry. Chu Ye interrupted Yu Xiaogan's action, and then continued with disdain. Among your 10 theories, one is about the maximum age of the soul ring that a soul master can absorb, right? Yu Xiaogan was stunned, and did not rush to act. He wanted to hear what Chu Ye would say next, and said with a gloomy face, yes. The first ring that a soul master can absorb is 423 years, and the second ring is 764 years. It is impossible for a soul master to exceed this age. Looking at Yu Xiaogan's stupid and blindly conceited face, Chu Ye shook his head speechlessly. So confident, then what is this? He directly released his first soul ring to overturn Yu Xiaogan's theory. The purple soul ring appeared at Chu Ye's feet, incomparably dazzling. 1000-year soul ring. This, how is this possible? Yu Xiaogan was completely dumbfounded. He didn't expect that his firm words just now would be slapped in the face in an instant. The onlookers around were also shocked and shocked. Chu Ye's first ring was like ironclad evidence, hitting Yu Xiaogan's face hard, overturning his theory and exceeding his cognition. For the first time, his proud theory suffered the most direct blow. Impossible, this is impossible. Yu Xiaogan didn't want to believe it, and couldn't figure out how Chu Ye did it. Looking at Yu Xiaogan's unbelievable, ignorant and puzzled expression, Chu Ye shook his head with disgust. With your level, you must not know that there are many ways to increase the limit of soul ring absorption, right? You are still invincible in theory, and you were a master. You can't figure it out, right? Me. Yu Xiaogan was speechless and couldn't say a word. Everyone's physique is different, and the limit they can absorb is also different. The higher the physical strength, the higher the limit they can withstand. This means that you can improve the physical strength to increase the limit of soul ring absorption. There is no accurate conclusion at all. The strength of the martial soul and the blessing of the soul bone can actually increase the absorption of the soul ring age. But Yu Xiaogan couldn't figure it out, because most of his soul master knowledge was stolen. He didn't have the theoretical level and talent. He couldn't answer the questions because the stolen knowledge didn't include them. Yu Xiaogan, who was known as the master of theory, couldn't answer them for a long time. Yu Xiaogan was so anxious that if he didn't explain it, he would be a joke. Like a clown. Stop being so mean. Among all your theories, the one you advocate the most is that there are no useless martial souls, only useless spirit masters who can't practice, right? But you have already proved that your theory is wrong. Isn't your mutated martial soul, Luo-sanpao, a useless martial soul? As a master who is invincible in theory, you should be very good at practice, right? But what can your martial soul, Luo-sanpao, be cultivated into? A martial soul that can only fart and smoke others, has no killing power and can only use 3 skills. What is this but useless? Who can you beat among spirit masters of the same level? With the same spirit ring configuration and the same level, don't you have any idea how big the gap in strength is between your Luo-sanpao and those top martial souls on the continent? Isn't this the embodiment of a useless martial soul? Every word Chu Ye said was like needles piercing his heart, making Yu Xiaogan feel extremely uncomfortable. Everything in the world has good and bad, strong and weak. Among a group of martial spirits, when given the same conditions, they show huge differences. Then the martial spirits at the bottom are trash. Your theory is also trash. Yu Xiaogan pointed at Chu Ye in a rage, but he was unable to say a word. He was furious and felt extremely ashamed. There is no doubt that he has become a laughingstock in the eyes of the people around him. His face has been lost. His theory will definitely be ridiculed and questioned by people in the future. Yu Xiaogan was also very puzzled as to why this child in front of him knew him so well. Ha, I admit that there are some dry goods in some of your theories, but are these theories all researched by yourself? Where did you copy them? You Dashi. Chu Ye deliberately added a voice. What? Are all Yu Xiaogan's theories plagiarized? It turns out that his theories are not researched by himself. No wonder there are many loopholes in many theories. What this child said may be true. Shut up. Shut up. Yu Xiaogan panicked, his mentality completely collapsed, and he roared wildly. Public opinion is very scary, and he himself is looked down upon and questioned too much. Although his theory has many errors and loopholes, it will not have much impact on his identity. After all, there are still many dry goods in the theory he released. But if the world knows that his theory is not researched by himself, but copied, if Chu Ye continues to talk, he is likely to be completely ruined today. The only theory that can support his dignity will also be defeated and become a laughingstock. The first soul skill, far like thunder, blasting the sky and cracking the earth. Yu Xiaogan's face was ferocious, and he released his soul skill. His behavior of urgently wanting Chu Ye to shut up was like a person who was poked in the heart and tried his best to cover up the truth. This made the onlookers who were still in a state of half-belief and half-doubt seem to be more convinced of the truth of what Chu Ye said. Here. Chu Ye sneered. Yu Xiaogan's soul skill attack method is mainly to produce impact with farts, which has low lethality. It can be said that it is useless, and the release process is also relatively slow. You want to fart and stink me? Chu Ye would not give him this opportunity, not because he was afraid that he could not beat him, but mainly because he was afraid that it would stink and stink him. Get out of here. Boom. Chu Ye directly released the Sword of Gods and Demons, with the sword intent attached, and before Yu Xiaogan released his first soul skill, he hit Luo Sanpao with the sword. Luo Sanpao was blown away by the sword, and Yu Xiaogan fell to the ground. If I don't give you a good beating today, I'm really sorry for my identity as a time traveler. Chu Ye put away the Sword of Gods and Demons, rolled up his sleeves, and slapped Yu Xiaogan hard on the face. Pa. Ah. Puff. After a slap in the face, Yu Xiaogan screamed and spit out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 36. Arriving at the branch hall, Su Yuntao is bewildered. Pa. Chu Ye slapped him again. Pa. Chu Ye slapped Yu Xiaogan on both sides of his face, and soon Yu Xiaogan was beaten black and blue. How unreasonable. At this moment, Yu Xiaogan's dignity was completely trampled on the ground, making him lose his composure. His face was extremely ferocious, but he was weak and couldn't resist at all, staring at Chu Ye. Here. Chu Ye kicked Yu Xiaogan in the face, and then beat him up on the ground. Pa. Bang bang bang. Chu Ye directly pushed Yu Xiaogan to the ground and punched and kicked him. Ah. Yu Xiaogan was extremely miserable and screamed repeatedly. After a while, Yu Xiaogan was beaten all over his body and was almost dying. Chu Ye didn't do it again. If he continued to beat him, he would be killed. It would be too easy for him to kill Yu Xiaogan like this. Don't let me see you again, or I'll beat you up every time I see you. Chu Ye ignored Yu Xiaogan on the ground, slowly moved his foot away from his face, and then turned and left. Looking at Chu Ye's back as he left, Yu Xiaogan was furious and wanted to kill Chu Ye, but he could only watch Chu Ye leave, and his heart was helpless and roaring. Damn it, I will make you pay the price. He knew that he was finished. From today on, he will be disgraced and will never be able to raise his head again. From now on, he will have no dignity, endure the ridicule of countless people, and become a laughingstock of the world. Chu Ye, let's go. Okay. Chu Ye returned to Qian Renxue's side, and the two left here. Beating Yu Xiaogan was just a side thing. Chu Ye quickly put it behind his mind, and went directly to the Wuhan branch hall in Noting City. At this moment, outside the gate of the Wuhan branch hall, the branch hall master, with the soul masters working in this branch hall, and nearly 100 soldiers in golden armor, were waiting for the arrival of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, very grandly. After all, they knew who was coming this time. One was the young master of the spirit hall, and the other was the Pope's personal disciple. They never thought that such a big man would come to a branch hall of this level one day. Here they come. Here they come. Soon, they saw Chu Ye and Qian Renxue walking slowly in the distance. The master of the hall walked down the steps to greet them and said respectfully, "Please come in, both of you." Yes. Chu Ye nodded and followed the master into the branch hall. When the door of the hall closed, everyone immediately knelt on one knee and said in unison, "We're here to greet the young Master Qian Renxue and Master Chu Ye." Everyone, please stand up quickly. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue both signaled them to stand up immediately. Young Master, Master Chu Ye, my name is Bai Yufan, the master of this spirit hall, and these few are also white-clothed spirit masters in our branch hall. Hello. Chu Ye took the initiative to extend his hand and shook hands with the master, and then cast his eyes on the other spirit masters around him. He only knew two people, one was Su Yun Tao, who was familiar to everyone, and the other was an old soul master who had appeared once, named Ma Xinyuo. Chu Ye then stretched out his hand to Su Yun Tao and said, Senior Su Yun Tao, I have heard of your great name for a long time. Su Yun Tao. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Mr. Chu Ye, do you know me? Su Yun Tao was confused. Yes. Chu Ye smiled without explaining too much. This. Looking at Chu Ye's outstretched hand and his friendly attitude towards him, Su Yun Tao was very flattered. He was just the most ordinary white-clothed soul master in the spirit hall, and the young man in front of him was the personal disciple of the Pope, with an extraordinary status. And he was lucky enough to be appreciated. Su Yun Tao quickly wiped his hands with his clothes, then stretched out his hand to Chu Ye, and the two shook hands slightly and then let go. Oh my God. Master Chu Ye actually knows this kid Su Yun Tao. What did he do to make Master Chu Ye know him? Everyone around looked at Su Yun Tao in disbelief, and some were very envious. After all, if he could get the appreciation of such a big shot, he might be able to rise to prominence in an instant. Not to mention that they were in disbelief, Su Yun Tao himself also felt it was indisputable. You should all know the purpose of our coming here this time. Chu Ye talked about business. Well, we have been notified by our superiors. Please rest assured, Master Chu Ye and young Master Qian Renxue, we will fully cooperate. The Hall Master replied very respectfully, and his face showed a bit of embarrassment again. It's just that the superior's instructions to us are that we can only help you find Li Yuanba, and we can't interfere in the battle. Please understand, Master Chu Ye and young Master Qian Renxue. They already knew the situation, and they also knew that Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's goal was to kill Li Yuanba, the level 65 Soul Emperor. But they really don't understand why Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were asked to carry out such a dangerous mission. Although they don't know the level of their soul power, they are so young after all, how strong can they be? Don't worry, you just need to follow the instructions of your superiors, we won't force you to do anything else. Everyone heard it and felt relieved. Chu Ye then asked, Master Bai, are all the soul masters of our branch hall here? To reply, Master Chu Ye, some soul masters are still handling affairs outside. They have not returned yet. Tell me about the current situation of the soul masters in your branch hall. Chu Ye said. Yes. The Hall Master nodded and immediately informed the situation. Our Noting City Martial Soul Branch Hall is only the lowest level 6 branch hall. There is only one white-robed cardinal in the hall, whose soul power has reached the Soul Master realm, and this only one is me. Below are 4 white-robed deacons, Su Yun Tao, Matthew Nyo, and 2 others outside, whose soul powers are all above level 25. Finally, there are ordinary white-robed soul masters, a total of 20 people. A few have reached the level of second ring Great Soul Masters, and most of the others are only first ring Soul Masters. In other words, the total number of Soul Masters here is only 25. There are so few Soul Masters in the branch hall, and their strength is also, Qian Renxue was a little surprised. She didn't expect the conditions of the branch hall to be worse than she imagined. Although Qian Renxue is the young master, it is her first time to go to the grassroots level, so it is normal that she does not understand the situation. Chu Ye thinks it is enough and says, Zwir, after all, this is only a level 6 branch hall, so there must not be so many people. To manage a small city like Noting City, 25 spirit masters plus ordinary soldiers are enough. The spirit hall has a strict hierarchy, which is roughly divided into 6 levels. The 6th level, which is also the lowest level, is the Spirit Branch Hall like Noting City, which can be found in all small cities of the 2 empires. The 5th level, the Spirit Sub Hall, is only found in medium-sized cities. The 4th level, the Spirit Main Hall, is generally found in large cities. The 3rd level, the Spirit Holy Hall, is only found in the capitals of the 2 empires. The 2nd level is the Pope's Hall where the Spirit City is located. The 1st level, above the Pope's Hall is the Douluo Hall, the Worship Hall. Chapter 37. Action begins, infiltrating late at night. The Spirit Masters of the Spirit Hall are also divided into several levels. The most common one is the White Robed Spirit Master, followed by the White Robed Cardinals, who are the masters of the 6th level branch halls. Above that, there are Purple Robed Cardinals, Red Cardinals, Platinum Cardinals, and only one Gold Cardinal. The strength of this White Robed Cardinal is actually considered a very powerful character in a small place like Noting City. I already know the personnel situation. Now I need to know the layout and terrain at Noting City. Do you have a detailed map? Chu Ye said. Yes. Su Yuntao quickly took out the map. Chu Ye took the map and studied it carefully with Qian Renxue. After knowing these two situations, they only need to find Li Yuanba's location and then formulate a battle plan. Chu Ye asked, "How many spirit masters can you spare to assist us in the investigation now? We need to leave a few spirit masters to handle the necessary affairs in the hall." "Can 20 spirit masters be enough?" said the hall master. There were 25 people in total, 20 of them were sent to help. Chu Ye smiled and said, "You should have a lot of things to do, so you don't need so many. 15 will be enough." "Okay, then Master Chu Ye and young Master Qian Renxue, how can we assist you? Zhuye, what do you think?" Chu Ye looked at Qian Renxue. In fact, he already had a comprehensive plan in his mind. But Chu Ye knew that Qian Renxue was actually a person who was very good at making plans and had the ability to command operations. He wanted to hear Qian Renxue's ideas. Qian Renxue thought about it carefully, and soon raised a confident look at the corner of her mouth. "For these 15 people, I want 2 white-clothed deacons above level 25. The strength of the other 13 people doesn't matter, but it's best to have soul masters with strong reconnaissance capabilities and functional soul masters." Chu Ye nodded secretly. The white-clothed deacons have a high status and can command the soul masters below more effectively. These people cannot participate in the battle, they are just looking for people, so reconnaissance and functional soul masters are the most practical. Qian Renxue continued, "There are 2 entrances and exits in Noting City, the North Gate and the South Gate. I need 4 soul masters to disguise themselves as ordinary people and squat at the 2 gates of the North Gate. The other 9 people will follow me and Chu Ye to look for Li Yuanba in the city. At the same time, they cannot use the identity of soul masters and must disguise themselves as civilians. When we find the target, don't alert the enemy. Continue to investigate and determine his movement trajectory and work and rest time. After finding the best time, disperse the crowd and then take action. Chu Ye, what do you think?" "Well, I think there is no problem, but I would like to add one thing here." Chu Ye affirmed, and then said, "The insight and perception ability of the Soul Emperor, and even the 5 senses, must be far superior to all of us. So everyone should pay attention to their words and deeds. When the investigation process after discovering the target, you must also maintain a safe distance. You can choose to monitor remotely through a telescope at a high altitude to avoid being noticed by the other party." "We understand." Su Yuntao and the others looked at each other. They didn't expect that 2 young people could do this. "Then let's start." Chu Ye and Qian Renxue looked at each other and said, "Yes." Noting City is so small, a dozen soul masters went to look for him, and some branch hall soldiers were asked to guard several points 24 hours a day on the higher buildings with white views. As long as Li Yuanba came out, he would find that target in no time. On the mainland, there are many soul master criminals who were wanted by the Empire and the Spirit Hall but have not been arrested. Basically, after committing a crime, they find a place to hide honestly for a few years, and gradually emerge after the storm has passed. After all, neither the Empire nor the Spirit Hall will spend manpower and time to look for criminals who have already hidden for several consecutive years. The mainland is so big that it is really difficult to find them if they're hiding. As time goes by, these criminals are forgotten by people. Even if they walk around the street casually, no one will know that he is a wanted criminal. But Li Yuanba never expected that he would be used by the high-level officials of the Spirit Hall to give to Chu Ye and Qian Renxue to complete Qian Dalu's second request. So Li Yuanba never thought that his whereabouts had already been known by the Spirit Hall. Late at night, the streets of Noting City were very quiet and almost no one could be seen. Li Yuanba was holding 2 women in his arms, walking on the street with a swagger, not knowing that at this moment, he was completely exposed to Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's sight. Not far away, on the top of a tall building, Qian Renxue looked down and said, "Chu Ye, here's Li Yuanba, right? It basically matches the portrait, it's him." Chu Ye's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The 2 watched Li Yuanba leave silently, without rushing to take action, but continued to monitor. 2 days later, Chu Ye had accurately grasped Li Yuanba's movements. He basically went from one place to another every day, sleeping in a short-term rental house, and then going to a romantic club to have fun, and basically came back in the early morning. Fortunately, Li Yuanba's residence was sparsely populated, and he lived in a separate villa building with a total of 3 floors. In this way, when Chu Ye and Qian Renxue took action, they could avoid affecting the surrounding civilians to the greatest extent. Chu Ye named this operation, Operation Hunting. After discussion, the time of Operation Hunting will be set at 3 o'clock in the morning tonight. Time passed quickly, the day turned into night, the stars shone brightly in the night sky, and the time came to more than 2 o'clock in the morning. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue appeared on the streets of Noting City, and walked towards Li Yuanba's residence step by step. This was the first real life and death battle, and the first time to kill someone. The most important thing was that the success or failure of this mission would directly determine whether Qian Renxue could continue to stay in the Wooden Hall. It would be a lie to say that I was not nervous. Chu Ye took Qian Renxue's hand and said, "Don't worry, Chu Ye, we will succeed." Yeah, Qian Renxue nodded. At present, Chu Ye's soul power is level 27, Qian Renxue's soul power is level 39, and with the power sharing turned on, Chu Ye's soul power is at least equivalent to a high-level soul master, and Qian Renxue's soul power is at least at the level of a soul master. Although there is no 100% certainty, Chu Ye believes that there is at least a 70% probability of killing Li Yuanba. At 2:55 inches the morning, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue finally arrived under Li Yuanba's villa. The two looked at each other and hid in the villa. Go. Swear. Yes. The two climbed up the wall and climbed all the way to the balcony on the 3rd floor. They sneaked into the hall quietly through the balcony. It was pitch black inside and very quiet. Chu Ye could even hear his own breathing. The atmosphere was tense as if the bishop was getting nervous. There were 4 rooms on the 3rd floor, all with closed doors, but Chu Ye knew which room Li Yuanba lived in, and he also knew that the door was facing the bed. Chu Ye only needed to stand outside the door, charge up his soul skills, and hit through the door, and he could severely injure Li Yuanba, who was sleeping on the bed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 38. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue joined forces to kill the Soul Emperor. But what Chu Ye didn't expect was that Li Yuanba was a very light sleeper, and he could easily detect the slightest movement while sleeping. It was for this reason that Li Yuanba chose to live in a quiet, single villa with no people around. When Chu Ye and Qian Renxue sneaked into the hall, Li Yuanba had actually noticed it. Here. Li Yuanba on the bed opened his eyes, staring at the door with fierce eyes, like a beast waiting for prey. Just as Chu Ye was about to charge the dark slash, Li Yuanba's cold voice suddenly came from the door. "Hey, what are you two doing?" Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were shocked at the same time. Chu Ye sensed the crisis and shouted at the first time, "Chu Ye, disperse." At this time, bang! Li Yuanba smashed through the wooden door and rushed out like a cheetah. He landed perfectly and turned his back to Chu Ye and Qian Renxue. He was a little surprised. Hectares, not bad, quick reaction. Go. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue swung their swords at Li Yuanba at the same time. Li Yuanba turned around immediately, and the terrifying soul power rose in his body. He used the soul power to condense in his palm and blocked the swords of the two. "It's actually 2 little kids, what do you want to do?" Seeing that Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were so young, Li Yuanba was very surprised. "Of course I'm here to kill you." "Kill me? Ha ha ha. Just relying on you 2 underage brats, you still want to kill me? Do you know who I am? I'm the Soul Emperor." Li Yuanba laughed loudly, and the terrifying soul power directly bounced the two away. "You are looking for death. Who told you to kill me? Tell me." Li Yuanba was extremely fierce. "Chu Ye, open your martial soul." Chu Ye didn't waste time talking to the other party and went straight into combat. 2 circles of 1,000-year soul rings appeared under Chu Ye's feet. Qian Renxue's 3 rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, also appeared. Li Yuanba was shocked to see this scene. What a guy. This kid has 2,000-year soul rings. But what scared Li Yuanba was the 6-winged angel spirit that slowly appeared behind Qian Renxue. 6 6-winged angels. Spirit Hall. Li Yuanba seemed to be hit on the head. The smile and cruelty on his face disappeared instantly, and turned into panic and fear. The six-winged angel spirit is a divine spirit and a symbol of the spirit hole's faith. No spirit master would not know the six-winged angel spirit. The sacred golden light that emanated seemed to hit the darkness in people's hearts, making those who had evil thoughts feel inexplicably afraid. But what really scared Li Yuanba was not Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, but he realized that the two had extraordinary identities. With such a genius and identity, how could there be no strong spirit hall masters around? What Li Yuanba was afraid of was whether there were any powerful spirit masters around. So what if he's a soul emperor? Today we're going to kill him. Chu Ye's face was cold as he swung his sword. First soul skill, God and Demon slash, Dark slash. Martial soul possession, Flame Cheetah. Roar. A leopard with flames all over its body appeared behind Li Yuanba, and 6 rings of yellow, purple, and black appeared. Third soul skill, Cheetah Charge. A flame cheetah with soul power condensed rushed out and slashed the light head-on. Boom. With a loud bang, huge energy smashed open, and the windows of the living room on the 3rd floor shattered in an instant. All kinds of glass-breaking sounds and energy shook the entire living room. First soul skill, Angel Assault. Qian Renxue followed closely and attacked Li Yuanba. The six-winged angel martial soul was not very powerful in the early stage. Only when it reached the titled Douluo realm could it exert the true power of the god-level martial soul. There are 3 pairs of six-winged angels, 6 wings. When they practice to level 30, they have the first pair of wings, 2 wings. At level 60, 2 pairs, 4 wings. At level 90, 3 pairs, 6 wings. But even a 6-winged angel with only 2 wings is stronger than most martial spirits. Li Yuanba obviously muttered about the power of Qian Renxue's first soul skill, and was knocked away in one fell swoop, directly breaking the window frame, and his body flew out of the house. After 2 years of companionship, practicing together, and becoming stronger together, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue had such a tacit understanding, and they were very familiar with each other. So after Qian Renxue released her first soul skill, Chu Ye's footsteps followed closely and rushed over, jumping out of the window. God and Demon Sword Intention. A sharp sword intention rose from Chu Ye, and he raised the God and Demon Sword in his hand. Countless golden light points condensed into a lightsaber, and in the sky around it, aimed at Li Yuanba who was about to fall below. Angel 6 Divine Sword Technique, First Sword. Divine Light Sword Rain. Swish, 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 swish. Bang, bang, bang. Countless lightsabers blasted down crazily, hitting Li Yuanba. Ah! The screams resounded throughout the dark night. The two cooperated almost perfectly and successfully injured Li Yuanba. Chu Ye. Qian Renxue flapped her wings and flew out, hugging Chu Ye from behind in time to prevent him from falling from the 3rd floor. Damn. These 2 little brats are so strong, are they really only this old? Looking at Chu Ye and Qian Renxue in the sky, Li Yuanba was shocked and angry. This attack was not enough to seriously injure Li Yuanba, who was at the Soul Emperor level. Although Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were very strong, as a Soul Emperor, he naturally would not think that he could not beat them. But he did not choose to fight back, but fled from here as soon as possible. He actually ran away. He must have guessed our status in the spirit hall and was afraid that there were other strong people behind us. Chase. Swear, we must not let him run away. Okay. Chu Ye's speed is definitely not as fast as a Soul Emperor with a beast spirit, but no matter how fast he runs on the ground, it is difficult to compare with flying in the sky. Qian Renxue's spirit has the ability to fly, and she chased Li Yuanba with Chu Ye. Li Yuanba was not a simple-minded person. He did not choose to go through the city gate, but planned to escape from the city in the middle of the city wall. Soon, Li Yuanba climbed over the city wall and escaped from the city, with Qian Renxue and Chu Ye chasing after him. After an hour of chasing, it was already past 4 in the morning. Li Yuanba had already left Noting City far away and fled into a wilderness forest, but at this time, his footsteps suddenly stopped. He turned around and tentatively said to Chu Ye and Qian Renxue who had arrived behind him, "You 2 little hairy guys, are there no other people around you?" "That's right, just the 2 of us." Chu Ye responded casually, so that this guy would not be suspicious again and want to run away again. "You dare to chase me here without a strong person following you? You really don't know how to write the word death." Hearing this, Li Yuanba's face instantly became gloomy. Along the way, he has actually been paying attention, and there are indeed no other soul masters. Maybe it was just these two genius and conceited young kids who came to arrest him privately. And Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's strength, in his opinion, was indeed capable of dealing with Soul King level strongmen. Author. By the way, the setting of the 10 tasks in the second chapter has been slightly changed. New book, title, Douluo. Full level Soul Instructor, starts with beating Tang San violently. Chapter 39. Power sharing is activated. Chu Ye Qian Renxue's combat power increases dramatically. After confirming this, Li Yuanba laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. I know that you are all not simple in the Spirit Hall. Don't think that your genius is of the Spirit Hall, and don't think that I dare not kill you just because you are the descendants of the six-winged angel. A terrifying aura burst out from Li Yuanba, and the soul pressure of the Soul Emperor rushed towards him, and the killing intent completely appeared on his face. Fierce, excited, and even crazy. Genius. Genius. Killing such a genius like you with my own hands, suddenly thinking about it, it is really an exciting thing. Ha ha ha. Li Yuanba couldn't stop laughing. Li Yuanba, the only one who will die today is you. For the heinous crimes you have committed, today, we will sentence you to death on behalf of the Spirit Hall. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue stood shoulder to shoulder, almost simultaneously raised their left hands, each holding a sword, pointing at Li Yuanba, facing the Soul Emperor level powerhouse. They did not retreat at all. Because they had already made up their minds to succeed and not fail. Grant me the death penalty. A second ring Great Soul Master and a third ring Soul Master, I will let you know how ridiculous your behavior is. Second Soul Skill, Cheetah Frenzy. Aga. Li Yuanba roared, his aura rising again, and the cheetah behind him became stronger. Chu Ye, let him see the power between us. The two looked at each other and activated the effect of the life and death contract at the same time. Power sharing. At this moment, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's soul power and aura were rising rapidly. Chu Ye's soul power directly reached the level of a high-level Soul Master, and Qian Renxue expanded to the level of a Soul Master. Second Soul Skill, God and Demon Sword Body. Chu Ye's power rose again, with a 100% increase in strength, speed, and physical strength, a 50% increase in sword attack, and a 50% increase in all sword-related soul skills. Now Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's state has been raised to the strongest state. How could it be? How could their aura suddenly become so powerful? Li Yuanba looked gloomy, because he had already felt a strong threat. With our realm, I think it would be quite rewarding to kill a Soul Emperor, Chu Ye. That's right, today, Li Yuanba, you will add a considerable record to our Soul Master's resume. Go to hell. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue rushed towards Li Yuanba at the same time. Looking for death. First Soul Skill, Cheetah Fire Claw. Boom. The forces of both sides collided head-on, and the two soul powers fought against each other, and then a fierce melee fight broke out. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue cooperated with each other, taking turns to attack and defend, both offensive and defensive. They were both spears and shields, and their cooperation was extremely tacit, rhythm, moves, no delay, extremely coherent, and able to perfectly connect to each other's previous attack. This is not a hype that can be achieved in a short period of time. It is the tacit understanding that Chu Ye and Qian Renxue have accumulated day by day. And their current tacit understanding is a level that even ordinary people may not be able to achieve after 10 years of training. This tacit understanding directly beat Li Yuanba back step by step. He had already been slashed by Chu Ye and Qian Renxue several times. What kind of tacit understanding is this? Are they worms in each other's hearts? Li Yuanba was very frustrated after being beaten, and the sword wounds left were getting more and more. He knew that he couldn't fight like this anymore, and he had to use powerful soul skills. Fourth soul skill, Cheetah Fireball. Li Yuanba condensed a huge sphere of fire with his hands. Chu Ye saw this and immediately blocked Qian Renxue. He didn't know how many years Li Yuanba had used the fourth soul skill, but it was definitely more than 2,000 years old, and it was very likely between 3,000 and 4,000 years. The power of such a soul skill can no longer be blocked casually, but Chu Ye is not afraid, because he has Qian Renxue. Chu Ye, get ready to use your third soul skill. After speaking, Chu Ye squatted slightly, ready to use the first soul skill. Seeing Chu Ye's actions, Qian Renxue instantly understood his intention. Understood. Qian Renxue also began to secretly mobilize her soul skills, intending to use them instantly. Although she could use them instantly, the soul power consumption was much greater. First soul skill, God and Demon Double Slash. The black energy condensed again on the sword of God and Demon. Li Yuanba said with disdain. You still want to use your first solar skill to resist my attack, can you resist it? Lousy, this is the fourth solar skill. Go to hell. Li Yuanba condensed the flame sphere and smashed it directly at Chu Ye. Dark slash. Chu Ye also shot out the dark sword blade at this time, but the angle was very accurate, as if they were going to hit each other, but there was no collision. The dark blade almost touched the bottom of the fireball and passed through. Did it miss? No. Li Yuanba's face changed drastically. Who said I would use solar skills to resist your attack? Chu Ye raised the corner of his mouth. So you want to lose both of us, are you crazy? Li Yuanba roared in horror. Both sides will be hurt. What are you thinking, you idiot? Just as the flame ball was about to hit Chu Ye's body, Qian Renxue took action. Third solar skill, Angel Protection. This is Qian Renxue's defensive solar skill. At that moment, the holy angel attached to Chu Ye's body and completely resisted the attack of that fireball. Li Yuanba could only dodge the dark slash desperately. Although he avoided the fatal part, his right arm was cut off instantly. Puff. My arm, the whole right arm fell to the ground, and blood gushed out from the broken arm. Li Yuanba held the broken arm, his face pale, and screamed like a broken heart. The pain of a broken arm is unbearable for ordinary people. Good boy, so handsome. Douluo, who was watching the battle not far away, saw this scene and was so excited that his blood seemed to be boiling. Damn, I was actually fooled by this kid. Li Yuanba's face was very painful and hideous. Swear, kill him now. Qian Renxue immediately seized the opportunity and released her solar skill again. Second solar skill, Angel Wing Blade. Countless blade-like feathers instantly released from the angel wings behind her, and flew away collectively. This is a ranged group attack skill. Li Yuanba couldn't avoid it now. Just when Chu Ye and Qian Renxue thought they had won, he spoke unexpectedly. A soul bone emerged from Li Yuanba's right leg. That's the right leg bone. This guy actually has a soul bone. This scene was beyond Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's expectations. It was not recorded in the data that he had a soul bone. Right soul bone skill, Earth Barrier. Bang 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 bang. A huge earth arm rose from the ground and blocked all of Qian Renxue's attacks. Li Yuanba pulled away in time and finally had time to breathe. Chapter 40. Enlightenment in Battle, Mutation of Solar Skills, and Killing with One Sword. The rhythm of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's battle was interrupted, which meant that Li Yuanba had a chance to fight back. You actually cut off one of my arms. I want you to live a life worse than death. Li Yuanba was completely furious, his expression twisted. Fifth solar skill, Cheetah Bite. Roar. A huge flaming leopard head came over at a very fast speed. This was actually a locking solar skill. The only way to win against a soul emperor who is dozens of levels higher than oneself is to fight quickly and decisively. At the beginning, you must go all out and kill the opponent before he releases a powerful solar skill. The soul emperor has many solar skills, and the longer the solar skills are delayed, the higher the age and the stronger the power. And Li Yuanba's fifth solar skill has reached 7,000 years. Swear, hide behind me. At this moment, Chu Ye stood in front of Qian Renxue without hesitation. But Qian Renxue also stood beside Chu Ye without hesitation, shoulder to shoulder. Swear, you, Chu Ye, I want to be with you. I understand. Chu Ye's eyes flickered slightly, he nodded, and released all the soul power he could mobilize with Qian Renxue at the same time, doing his best to resist Li Yuanba's attack. Bang. Boom boom boom. Ah. Chu Ye screamed, and his soul power began to rapidly drain while resisting, and soon, it was on the verge of limit. Although Chu Ye and Qian Renxue had resisted with all their strength, they were ultimately unable to resist, and both were repelled by this force at the same time. Swear. Looking at Qian Renxue, who was pale beside him, and the blood flowing from the corner of her mouth, Chu Ye's face was completely cold to the extreme. You. Damn it. He had never been so angry as he was at this moment, and the killing intent had completely occupied his brain, staring at Li Yuanba. Humph. You can't die even after enduring my fifth solar skill. You're really amazing. Unfortunately, your soul power and physical strength are almost at their limit. What if you can block my fifth solar skill? Can you block my sixth solar skill? Ha ha ha. Li Yuanba laughed wildly. Swear, stay here and leave it to me next. Chu Ye slowly stood up and walked forward step by step. He blocked Qian Renxue again. Just give it a try and see if I can block it. Chu Ye's every word was filled with murderous intent. You don't know how to live or die. I want to see how you can protect the girl behind you. Sixth soul skill, Cheetah Flame Destruction. The black 10,000-year soul ring came like the shadow of death. The terrifying flame seemed to have the power to destroy everything. Naturally, it was not only the people in the realm of great soul masters who could resist it. But there was no fear in Chu Ye's eyes. Even his attention was not on Li Yuanba's soul skills, but on the sky behind him that was alternating between day and night. The dark night sky is getting brighter, the night is about to disappear, and the day is about to come. Dawn has arrived. And the time of dawn and dusk is when Chu Ye is the strongest. He can borrow the power of the sun and the night at the same time to enhance his own strength. It's over, kid. As Li Yuanba roared, the terrible power of the sixth soul skill had already hit. Alas, although this Li Yuanba is only level 65, he is more powerful than most soul emperors. In addition, he has a 1,000-year soul bone. His strength can be called the peak soul emperor. Chu Ye and the young master are still unmatched. Douluo shook his head and sighed in his heart. He could only make a move. But just when Douluo was about to make a move, he suddenly saw a fiery red torso bone appear behind Chu Ye, and the soul bone was emitting power to protect Chu Ye. Good guy, this kid still has a trump card. When did he have a soul bone? Douluo was extremely surprised. Trigger it, my phoenix bone. Reborn from the ashes. Bang. Boom boom boom. The flame energy gradually disappeared, and Chu Ye's unyielding figure slowly emerged. When Li Yuanba saw Ye's figure clearly, Chu Ye had already condensed his first soul skill again. God and Demon Double Slash. At this moment, Chu Ye's God and Demon Sword emitted both light and dark energies at the same time. In this battle between life and death, Chu Ye was extremely angry and full of murderous emotions. At this moment, he had a deep understanding of the God and Demon Sword martial soul, and therefore realized a new move. It was not a self-created soul skill, but a variant soul skill. Li Yuanba, your death is coming. Light and dark fusion slash. The energy sword blade with light on one side and darkness on the other, with the power of the superposition of the two attribute effects of light slash and dark slash, blasted away instantly. Puff. Being cut off from the waist won't kill him immediately. The consciousness of the upper body still exists. Li Yuanba is not dead yet. He stared at Chu Ye, who was walking step by step with his eyes wide open. I said, the only one who will die is you. Chu Ye came to Li Yuanba with the sword of gods and demons, who only had the upper body. He looked down at the soul emperor who was about to die on the ground and looked at him with great fear. With an expressionless and emotionless sword, he cut off Li Yuanba's head. Chu Ye's heart seemed to be calm at this moment. He was very calm. He slowly picked up the soul bone that fell after killing Li Yuanba. 1,000-year soul bone, I don't know how many thousands of years it will be. Chu Ye took a look at it and put it away. Then he immediately came to Qian Renxue and helped her up. Chu Ye, are you okay? I'm fine, it's just that my soul power has been consumed too much and I'm a little weak now. What's the matter with Chu Ye's move just now? I haven't seen it before. Qian Renxue asked. It's the first time I use it. I just realized it in the battle. Chu Ye smiled tiredly. You're truly a freak. You can actually come up with new moves during the battle. Chapter 41 Qian Renxue. Chu Ye is not old enough yet? Wait. What am I thinking about? Perhaps, as our predecessors said, people can only exert their greatest potential when facing pressure. Chu Ye glanced at the sword of gods and demons martial spirit in his hand. The mutant soul skill of the fusion of the battle of light and the slash of darkness, the fusion of light and darkness, is indeed much more powerful, but it also consumes much more soul power. He retracted his martial spirit and said to Qian Renxue very seriously, now that Li Yuanba is dead, the only thing left for us is the last level. As long as we pass this last level, Chu Ye, you don't have to go to the Tiando Palace anymore. Believe me, I will definitely keep you here. I believe in you, Chu Ye, we can definitely do it. Qian Renxue clenched her fist. In this battle, her heart has been completely captured by Chu Ye. The two looked at each other face to face. Suddenly, the sunlight on the first floor sprinkled on the side faces of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue. The two turned around at the same time, shoulder to shoulder, looking at the sun rising slowly in front of them. It's dawn. Yes. Chu Ye, Li Yuanba is dead and the mission is over. Let's go back to the Noting City branch hall to recuperate for a day and then go back to report. No hurry, wait a minute. Chu Ye glanced around, took a quick look, and suddenly shouted, I don't know which senior is protecting us in secret, but now the mission is over, can you come out and see me? This kid. Douluo shook his head and smiled, appeared generously, and then nodded respectfully to Qian Renxue. Young master. So it's Elder Yue gone, then I'm relieved. Chu Ye breathed a sigh of relief. Reassurance, what do you mean? What's the difference if it's someone else? Douluo looked puzzled. Chu Ye said, Elder Yue gone, you should have seen the whole battle just now. Yes, is there any problem? Then you should have seen that the soul power of Qian Renxue and I suddenly increased sharply, right? I hope Elder Yue gone will keep this secret for us for the time being. Chu Ye said. Ha, don't worry, Chu, I will try my best to keep the information for you. Douluo smiled charmingly, he already understood what Chu Ye meant. Isn't it because he has a good relationship with Chu Ye that he can hide things? Thank you, Elder Yue gone. In fact, in the battle between Soul Masters, information and whether you know the opponent are very important, especially when facing a title Duo level strongman like Yulong, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue can hide as much information as possible. Although the proud title Duo Snake Spear may not even bother to understand Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, there will always be people who will ask Douluo, the only one present, how they killed the Soul Emperor. If everyone happens to be together, they will know it as soon as they hear it. No need to thank you, I was just about to ask you, how did you do this? Did you practice something? Hey, Elder Yue gone, you don't have to ask about this, because we won't tell you. Chu Ye showed his big white teeth and smiled. Well, then Douluo spread his hands and stopped asking. After this battle, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were very tired, and they had some internal and external injuries, so they decided to go to Noting City to recuperate for a day before returning to Ahun City. Douluo no longer protected them secretly and followed them. The three of them returned to the Wihun branch hall of Noting City. After being healed by the healing soul master in the branch hall, Chu Ye took Qian Renxue back to the arranged room. Zwire, coming quickly. What are you doing? Chu Ye directly pulled Qian Renxue into the room and sat on the bed. Qian Renxue was a little shy. Why did she get on the bed? Chu Ye is not old enough, right? Wait. What am I thinking about? Qian Renxue blushed and didn't understand Chu Ye's intention until she saw Chu Ye take out the soul bone that Li Yuanba exploded. Her expression gradually became serious. Zwire, not many people know that I have a torso bone now. Only when Elder Yue gone who just learned about it, and my phoenix torso bone actually has a magical effect. Chu Ye said. What? Qian Renxue looked curious. Chu Ye's mouth corners slightly raised. Now I tell you, this phoenix soul bone can absorb other soul bones to increase the age of the phoenix soul bone. The more years it absorbs, the more years it will increase. Rip. So powerful. Qian Renxue was very surprised. Yes, we killed Li Yuanba together, and this 1000-year right bone also belongs to you, Zwire. However, Zwire, you have an exclusive angel inheritance soul bone set, and you definitely don't look down on this 1000-year level soul bone, so I plan to use it to absorb the phoenix soul bone. The relationship between the two is too familiar, and there is no need to consider any interests. Chu Ye is not so polite when talking. Okay, but it always feels so extravagant. Qian Renxue must support it. If she had the phoenix trunk bone, she would definitely absorb other soul bones, but return to the soul bone itself. This is a 1000-year soul bone. Although it is definitely not as good as the 10,000-year soul bone which is praised as the best, it is also a priceless treasure, which is hard to come by. If you throw it out casually, soul masters will go crazy and even cause a bloodbath. It is indeed a luxury to use it to increase the age of another soul bone. Chu Ye smiled bitterly and said, yes. If the phoenix soul bone is upgraded to the level of 100,000 years, I don't know how many soul bones will be consumed. If you want to upgrade it to 1 million years, it will be a bottomless pit. Okay, now you absorb this right leg bone, I'll guard you. Qian Renxue sat cross-legged on the bed, with a cute face. Okay. Chu Ye nodded, looked at this 1000-year right leg bone and prepared to absorb it. In fact, the explosion rate of 1000-year soul bones is lower than that of 10,000-year soul bones. Soul bones are like this. The lower the age of soul beasts, the less likely they are to explode soul bones. 100,000-year soul beast will definitely produce soul bones. It is said that the explosion rate of 10,000-year soul beasts is only 1 in 1,000. 1000-year soul bones are even lower. As for 100-year soul bones, don't even think about whether they can explode. The probability is like winning the lottery. However, the number of 100-year-old soul beasts hunted is also large, so there will still be some. Chu Ye did not delay and immediately absorbed the right leg bone. In the process, he already understood the age of the right leg bone, which was about 5,000 years. After absorbing it, the phoenix trunk bone was also 55,000 years old. After about half an hour of absorption, Chu Ye was pleasantly surprised to find that after absorbing this 5,000-year-old right leg bone, the phoenix bone added an earth attribute resistance effect that the right leg bone brought. Although there is no additional soul bone skill, it has a certain characteristic unique to the soul bone. In this way, every time the phoenix bone absorbs a new soul bone in the future, it can add a characteristic effect of the soul bone. Zwyer, let me tell you, Chu Ye immediately wanted to share his joy with Qian Renxue, but he suddenly found that Qian Renxue had fallen asleep. Chapter 42 Chu Ye Qian Renxue returns and shocks the elders. She lay beside Chu Ye, curled up her legs, resting her hands on her head, sleeping peacefully and enjoying herself, with a sweet smile on her lips. I don't know what sweet dream she had, she was smiling even when she was sleeping. Well, you said you would watch over me, but you fell asleep while looking at me alone. It seems that I can only tell you tomorrow. Chu Ye shook his head and smiled, not wanting to disturb her rest. Chu Ye carefully straightened Qian Renxue's body and laid her down, then covered her with a quilt, and lay down beside Qian Renxue. He lay on his side, silently looking at the side of Qian Renxue's face while she was sleeping, and fell asleep unconsciously. The next day, early morning. The two slept in the same bed for a night, and their sleeping postures had changed greatly. They slept face to face, and the distance between their faces was less than 2 thumbs. Their bodies were tightly pressed together, and Qian Renxue's feet were directly on Chu Ye's body. Finally, Qian Renxue woke up in a daze. She immediately felt a hot body. She opened her eyes instantly and saw that her body was tightly pressed against Chu Ye, so intimate. Qian Renxue's face immediately turned red, and she couldn't help screaming, "Ah! Chu Ye, why did you come to my bed?" Chu Ye was awakened by the shouting, rubbed his confused eyes and said, "Please, Zwyer, it's you in my bed, you didn't go back at all last night is that so?" Qian Renxue smiled awkwardly, she remembered that she fell asleep while waiting last night. Her face was so red, and she muttered in her heart, "So, Chu Ye and I slept in the same bed all night last night. He didn't do anything to me." Thinking of this, Qian Renxue felt very shy. "Hey, why are you looking at me like that?" "I didn't do anything," Chu Ye hurriedly explained, and then whispered, "Actually, I touched it a little last night, but not much, just touched my thigh." "What did you say?" Nothing. I heard everything." "Chu Ye, you actually touched my leg secretly." "Hate." Qian Renxue directly swung the pillow to hit Chu Ye. She seemed angry, but in fact she was not angry. Don't hit me, I was wrong, humph. I'm going to hit you." Qian Renxue picked up another pillow. "If you do this again, I will fight back." "You fight back? I'm afraid of you." The two of them started to play on the bed, and soon, laughter rang out in the room. After playing, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue got out of bed, washed their faces and brushed their teeth, and prepared to set off back to the Wuhan Hall. "Palace Master Bai, Senior Su Yun Tao, and everyone else, we will meet again. Farewell, young master, Master Chu Ye." Everyone knelt on one knee again, and this time, they showed respect and admiration. The palace door opened, and Chu Ye and Qian Renxue said goodbye to everyone and walked out of the branch palace, stepped on the carriage and left Noting City, returning to Wuhan City. Douluo also sat in the carriage. A few days later, in the Pope's palace. The elders and Pope Bai Dong gathered in the elders' palace again, still discussing the infiltration plan, and Qian Renxue's lurking in the Tiando palace. It's been almost 10 days since Chu Ye and young Master Qian Renxue left. Almost, but isn't it too early to discuss this matter now? Why not wait until they come back? Golden Crocodile Douluo said, "Wait for what? Do you think they can kill Soul Emperor Li Yuanba?" The titled Douluo who spoke lowered his head slightly and shook his head. "Of course it's unlikely. So, we have to discuss it in advance." Yes, their departure this time is a good opportunity to announce the young master's fake death and hide their identity. We can say that the young master died accidentally during training outside, and secretly send him to the Tiando Palace. If Qian Renxue disappeared suddenly, it would definitely arouse suspicion from others, so they thought it would be easiest to simply announce Qian Renxue's death, and then send her directly to the Tiando Palace. Yes, we can send someone to notify Chrysanthemum Douluo and tell him to let Chu Ye and young master return to the city secretly. Everyone discussed and made a decision. Come here. Pass the message, let Chu Ye and the young master return to the city secretly. Yes. A soldier quickly ran out of the Elder Hall to find a special department to pass the message, but not long after he ran, he suddenly saw Chu Ye and Qian Renxue returning to the door of the Pope's Hall in the distance. Standing in his position, he could just see there. Oh my God, Chu Ye and the young master are back. The soldier realized the urgency of the situation and ran over again. He ran all the way. When he ran back to the door of the Elder Hall, he was exhausted. Fuck, I'm so tired. The soldier panted a few times, pushed the door open, and knelt on one knee decisively. Report to His Holiness the Pope, Chu Ye and the young master have returned. What? Back so soon? Everyone was a little surprised. In their opinion, it would take at least half a month, right? Go and tell them to come directly to the Elder Hall. No need to notify, we are already here. At this time, Chu Ye's voice came from outside the hall. Everyone looked and saw Chu Ye and Qian Renxue slowly walking into the Elder Hall, followed by Douluo. This is Li Yuanba's head. Elders, please confirm. Chu Ye slowly raised the cloth wrapped in his left hand, and then domineeringly threw it directly to the center of the hall. The cloth automatically spread out, and Li Yuanba's head appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, the entire Elder Hall was quiet, and only Chu Ye's voice was echoing. Everyone stared at the head on the ground with wide eyes, and they were extremely shocked and stunned. Good guy. They actually did it. A great soul master killed a soul emperor. Bye-bye Dong, Qian Dalu, and all the titled Douluo elders were shocked. This scene was really beyond their expectations. Snake-spear Douluo looked very ugly. Golden Crocodile Douluo, who had always disliked Chu Ye, finally changed his expression when he looked at Chu Ye. Qian Dalu came back to his senses and asked seriously, Elder Yuan, did they break the rules? Douluo bowed slightly and said respectfully, as an elder, I guarantee that Chu Ye and the young master did not break the rules. They killed Li Yuanba entirely by relying on their own strength. I understand. Qian Dalu nodded with a serious look. Chu Ye, the fact that you can kill this level 65 soul emperor with your current realm undoubtedly proves that you are all very outstanding and also surprised us. But this is not enough to change the infiltration plan. You still have to complete my third requirement and last for half an incense stick of time in the hands of Elder Snakespear. We understand, and we will definitely do it. The firm voices of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue echoed throughout the hall, shocking people's souls. Chapter 43 How to Deal with Snakespear Douluo. Looking at Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, who were full of confidence, Bye-bye Dong, Qian Dalu, and some elders were a little shaken and unsteady, and even had the idea that they could really do it. Time and time again, they thought that things were impossible, but they were broken by Chu Ye and Qian Renxue again and again, creating miracles that they thought were impossible, which always made people a little uncertain. But think about it, the last goalkeeper Snakespear Douluo set 3 requirements for Qian Dalu. After all, he is a titled Douluo. Half an incense stick of time, he can only use the 6th soul skill, but a titled Douluo is a titled Douluo after all. It should be impossible to create miracles again, right? But they had doubts in their hearts. Thorny Porpoise Douluo stroked his big stubble and said to Snakespear Douluo, I thought it was impossible, but Chu Ye and the young master passed 2 levels in a row. Snakespear, don't take it lightly. If you lose, before Thorny Porpoise finished speaking, Snakespear Douluo snorted coldly. HMPH. How could I lose? Not to mention that they still have a year now, even if they are given another 3 years, don't think they can survive half an incense stick of time from me. Thorny Porpoise, are you looking down on me by saying this? Snakespear Douluo's eyes were sharp. I don't mean that, I'm just kindly reminding you. Thorny Porpoise Douluo looked innocent. HMPH. Snakespear Douluo glanced at Thorny Porpoise a little angrily and left first. If he lost to Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, all these years of being a titled Douluo would be in vain. No matter how many geniuses there are, it is absolutely impossible in a short period of time. Snakespear Douluo doesn't think there is such a possibility at all. On the other side, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were full of confidence and were discussing how to deal with Qian Dalu's 3rd level and Snakespear Douluo. There is still 1 year and a half months before we fight the Snakespear Elder. Time is very tight for us. Just by improving our soul power, we can hardly last more than half an incense stick in the hands of a titled Douluo like Snakespear. So we have to look for the possibility of winning in other aspects. Chu Ye looked at Qian Renxue seriously. For example, martial soul fusion skill. Chu Ye only said the word for example, and Qian Renxue said it in unison with Chu Ye as if they had telepathy. It seems that we had the same idea. Chu Ye smiled, and then said, the fourth effect of the life and death contract is that the compatibility of our martial souls will be increased by 100%. It will be very easy for us to study martial soul fusion skills. We haven't tried it before, right? Qian Renxue said, yes, martial soul fusion skills can make the power of 2 soul masters, 1 plus 1 is much greater than 2. If we can study a powerful martial soul fusion skill, it will definitely become the key to our victory in this battle. That's right. So our focus of training in the next year is to study a powerful martial soul fusion skill. The two looked at each other, and the corners of their mouths rose unconsciously. Chu Ye, now you should first increase your soul power to level 40 to absorb the 4th soul ring, and then we will immediately start to specialize in martial soul fusion skills. Okay. The two clapped their hands and reached a consensus. At present, Qian Renxue is level 39 and Chu Ye is level 27. Both of them can add one more ring before fighting with Snake Spear Douluo. Qian Renxue has 4 rings of Soul Ancestor and Chu Ye has 3 rings of Soul Lord. But if you want to add another ring, don't think it's impossible. When facing Snake Spear Douluo, it doesn't matter whether Chu Ye's soul power is level 31, 32, 33, or 34. The improvement of a few levels will not play any role at all. Therefore, the improvement of soul power in the next year is the least important. As long as Chu Ye can reach the 3rd ring, it will be enough. He will invest a lot of time in martial soul fusion skills, sword intent, and the breakthrough of Angel 6 swordsmanship. After determining the next direction of cultivation, the two immediately stepped into the rhythm of cultivation. In the next period of time, the two will focus on improving soul power and help Qian Renxue break through level 40 first. Chu Ye still follows Bai Dong to learn the method of refining poison, but reduces the time for this aspect. In the process of making poison, his body gradually improves its resistance to poison. Bai Dong said that if you want to become a qualified poison refining master, you must have a skill, which is to improve your body's resistance to poison and become less and less afraid of poison. And how to improve poison resistance is very simple. Try poison yourself. The more poisons your body has, the more resistance you will gradually have, and you will even be directly immune to ordinary poisons. In addition to practicing poison, Chu Ye spent the rest of his time looking for swordsmen or sword-wielding soul masters to compete with. Douluo Dalu had said before that when fighting and sparring with different sword-wielding soul masters, the deeper the opponent's understanding of the sword, the easier it is to improve his sword intention and understanding of the sword. So Chu Ye used this method to improve his sword intention and understanding of the sword, and it was also easier to master the next level of the Angel 6 swordsmanship. 10 days later, Chu Ye had almost beaten all the sword-wielding disciples of the Spirit Hall, leaving only the last one, named Han Fen. Han Fen is currently the 2nd strongest disciple of the Spirit Hall. Chu Ye's ranking has already made it into the top 100, and he didn't rush to the list. The stone tablet is currently ranked 89th. Han Fen is 24 years old, a strong attack-type soul master with a soul power of level 49, and his martial soul is a sword-type weapon martial soul that is close to the top quality. He is currently also the main player of the Spirit Hall representative team in that 5-year Senior Elite Soul Master competition. The competition will start in about a year, and he is preparing for the competition with his teammates. However, Han Fen, who also specialized in swordsmanship, immediately accepted the challenge after receiving Chu Ye's challenge. At this moment, the two stood on the battle stage of the training field, and there were many onlookers around. Han Fen had a bit of the temperament of a sword Douluo, dressed in white, with an indifferent expression, and the whole state exuded a hint of sharp aura. He said with a little coldness, I heard that you have been looking for people to learn swordsmanship these days. All the disciples who used swords were defeated by you. You have already understood the meaning of swordsmanship, right? Yes, so I came to you. Chu Ye replied, and then said, it's okay to not use soul skills and only compete in swordsmanship. No problem, but even so, the competition between us is unfair. After all, my soul power is much higher than yours, which means that my sword moves are more powerful than yours. It doesn't matter. If I lose, I will be inferior to you. Okay. Come on. Han Fen nodded and decisively released the sword martial soul. It was a red sword named Blood Shadow Sword. Blood Shadow Sword intention. He slowly raised the blood shadow sword, and a clear stream of sword energy swirled around him, which meant that Han Feng's sword intention had reached the primary level. Chu Ye was a little surprised. Primary sword intention. Sure enough, you have a strong talent in swordsmanship. Strong. Han Feng shook his head. I only realized that primary sword intention not long ago when I was 24 years old, and my talent in swordsmanship is not that strong. Have you heard of the Wind Sword sect? Chapter 44 Qian Renxue. Shucks you, don't learn from Chu Ye, he is a monster. Of course, one of the 4 sects under the 7 major sects. Chu Ye said. Yes, among the soul masters of my generation, there are many disciples of Feng Jian sect who are better than me in swordsmanship. Even one of them is only 2 or 3 years older than me, but he has already entered the intermediate sword intent. He is called the first sword genius after Chu Ye and Douluo. Han Feng's eyes flashed with admiration. Chu Ye asked, what's his name? Han Feng said, the son of the master of Feng Jian sect, Fen Tianu. Fen Tianu. Chu Ye secretly remembered this name. He stopped communicating and released the sword of gods and demons, and a domineering sword intent of gods and demons rose. Good boy, his sword intent is probably about to enter the primary level. Han Feng was shocked when he saw this. If I remember correctly, he is only 8 years old. This kid might be more talented than Fen Tianu. Come on, Han Feng. Boom. The two raised their swords at the same time and ran towards each other. Bang. Ding. The two swords collided heavily. Han Feng used his stronger soul power to shake Chu Ye away, and then stabbed with a sword. Chu Ye blocked with the sword, and then swept back with his hand, and the two officially fought. Ding. 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 Zzz. The swords kept colliding and fighting with each other, making waves of weapons impact and friction. The two are equally matched in swordsmanship, and for a while they fought evenly, and it was hard to tell who was better, but it could be seen that Han Feng was suppressing Chu Ye. But Han Feng was more and more surprised as he fought, because he found that Chu Ye's sword intent was getting stronger and stronger during the battle. Good guy. He is quickly understanding and absorbing from my sword intent, and improving his own understanding of the sword. This kid is so perverted. Han Feng exclaimed in his heart, and he began to become more and more exhausted. Bang. Finally, Han Feng was repelled by Chu Ye's sword and lost a move. He suddenly stopped and put away his sword. Chu Ye said puzzledly, why don't you fight anymore? Han Feng took a deep breath. I admit defeat. What do you mean? I only won one move from you. If we continue to fight, I will most likely be the loser. Why are you admitting defeat? Chu Ye looked puzzled. Han Feng said, winning one move is enough. Your swordsmanship is obviously better than mine. If it weren't for my soul power being much higher than yours, I would definitely not be your opponent, so I admit defeat. Okay, you are quite serious. Chu Ye sighed helplessly, feeling a little bit sorry. If he continued to fight, he might be able to find out the elementary sword intent. Han Feng said at this time, let's stop here today. If you want to continue to comprehend the sword way from my sword intent, you can come to me. Oh? Thank you very much. Chu Ye was a little surprised. He had a good impression of this person. He was willing to let him continue to borrow the blood shadow sword intent to improve. In the following days, Chu Ye often exchanged swordsmanship with Han Feng. Unknowingly, 2 months later, Qian Renxue's soul power finally broke through to level 40, and Chu Ye's sword intent also entered the primary sword intent at about the same time. Brother Han Feng, I'm sorry to bother you during this period of time. Oh, why are you talking about this, Brother Chu Ye? My sword intent has also improved a lot during this period of time. Hilly. Chu Ye smiled. During this period of time, Han Feng has become his first male friend in the true sense. The two sat on a stone and chatted, and then Qian Renxue came over. Seeing this, Chu Ye jumped off the stone and walked towards Qian Renxue while saying, Brother Han Feng, I'm leaving first. Next, you should prepare for the Soul Master competition and win another championship for our Spirit Hall. Don't worry, the championship must belong to our Spirit Hall. Let's go. Chu Ye waved his hand. He naturally did not doubt this. The Spirit Hall has won the Soul Master competition for several consecutive sessions. The only time it missed the championship was during Tang San's period. However, now that the Spirit Hall has Chu Ye, he will never let an academy like Shriek win the championship. After bidding farewell to Han Feng, Chu Ye came to Qian Renxue and asked, how is it, can we set off? Yes, Grandpa said he would personally take me to the Xingdou Great Forest to obtain spirit rings. Qian Renxue said. Okay, let's set off. Qian Renxue's spirit power has now reached level 40, and she is going to the Xingdou Great Forest to obtain spirit rings. Chu Ye will go with her. The two can set off following Qian Dalu. On the way, Qian Renxue said, Grandpa, this time please help me find a soul beast of the 10,000 year level. 10,000 years? That won't do, Xiaoxiu. It is difficult to absorb the fourth ring to the 10,000 year level. Even our six-winged angel martial spirits find it difficult to do it. Qian Dalu immediately rejected this idea and persuaded her seriously. The 10,000 year soul ring is different from the 1,000 year soul ring. It is more difficult to absorb. This difficulty does not only refer to whether the body can withstand this level of years, but also the soul shock. Soul turbulence. Yes, when the soul beast reaches the 10,000 year cultivation, it will initially open up its spiritual wisdom. In other words, the soul beast has a higher wisdom and a certain amount of mental power at this time, and then a part of the soul beast's mental power will exist in the soul ring. When a soul master absorbs a soul ring, he will suffer from the mental attack in the soul ring, and face two tests of body and soul at the same time. The difficulty of the fourth ring stage is too great, and you can't take risks. In Grandpa's opinion, it is enough for you to absorb a soul ring of about 8,000 years now. Qian Dalu persuaded, and then pointed to Chu Ye next to him. Xiaoxiu, don't learn from this kid, he is a monster. The first ring is 2,000, the second ring is 6,000, and the fourth ring is 10,000, but don't think it's easy. Hehe, Chu Ye smiled awkwardly, and then explained with Qian Renxue. Grandpa, just believe me, I can absorb 10,000 year spirit rings. Yes. Great Priest, I can sense that Xue's current condition can absorb the 10,000 year level. Seeing that Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were so confident, Qian Dalu was a little hesitant and entangled, mainly because he believed Chu Ye's words more, and he also heard that when Chu Ye absorbed spirit rings, he could directly feel how many years he could absorb. Qian Dalu said very seriously, Chu Ye, are you sure that Xiaoxiu can absorb the fourth ring to the 10,000 year level? Chu Ye was not joking, and said solemnly, of course, she can. The greatest effect of power sharing is the improvement of soul power, but at the same time, physical strength and mental strength have the same improvement effect. With Chu Ye's blessing, Qian Renxue will definitely reach the fourth ring 10,000 year level. After weighing the pros and cons, Qian Dalu finally made a decision. Okay, then I will trust you this time. Qian Dalu took Chu Ye and Qian Renxue directly into the inner area of the Xingdou Great Forest. After several days of searching, he finally found a soul beast that had just reached 10,000 years and was suitable for Qian Renxue. Bang! Qian Dalu blasted it with one blow and instantly knocked down the 10,000 year soul beast. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 45, Researching Soul Fusion Techniques. Xiaoxiu, go and give it a try. Qian Dalu said with some worry. Well, don't worry, Grandpa, I'm fine. Qian Renxue looked confident, her eyes became serious, and she started to share power as she walked. Qian Renxue's instantly expanding power made Qian Dalu's face change. He glanced at Chu Ye, who looked calm, and seemed to have guessed something. Next, Qian Renxue immediately began to absorb. After several difficult processes, her breath finally stabilized and got on the right track. It really succeeded. Qian Dalu was delighted and breathed a long sigh of relief. He sighed and said with emotion, Xiaoxiu, your future achievements may surpass me. We, the six-winged angels, have been waiting for the Angel 9 tests. I wonder if Xiaoxiu has this possibility. Qian Dalu didn't know yet that Qian Renxue had the talent to inherit the angel god, otherwise he would never let Qian Renxue lurk in the Tiando Palace. After all, the value of creating a god is completely conducive to controlling the Tiando imperial power. After a long time, Qian Renxue's fourth soul ring absorption was completed, and her soul power broke through to level 43, and her aura was obviously stronger. 11 years old, level 43. Everyone said that Chu Ye was the first genius of the Spirit Hall, but at least for now, the two are evenly matched. Such a genius was arranged by the Spirit Hall to lurk in the Tiando Palace. At the age of 29, his soul power only reached the Soul Center level, and his talent was completely delayed. Even without Chu Ye's cultivation sharing, Qian Renxue would have become a god at the age of 29, right? Chu Ye retracted his thoughts and came to Qian Renxue and said, "Zhuye, how is it? What kind of soul skill did you get?" Qian Renxue looked happy. "My fourth soul skill is called Angel Whirlwind Wing Slash, which is a single attack soul skill. After releasing it, my angel wings will become sharp blades. Under high-speed rotation, the blade-like wings will continuously hit the opponent. Single plus continuous strikes, Zhuye, this soul skill should be very lethal," Chu Ye said. Qian Dalu nodded. Yes, single attack soul skills have always been the most lethal of all soul skills. With continuous attacks, to a certain extent, the damage that can be caused is greater than that of a one-time attack, which can greatly increase your chances of killing strong people above your level. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. The three returned to Hun City. Now Qian Renxue has reached the fourth ring, and Chu Ye is not far from practicing to the third ring. There is no need to rush to practice soul power. The remaining 10 months are all prepared to study the martial soul fusion skills with Qian Renxue. Soul power will have no problem breaking through to level 30 inches the process of studying martial soul fusion skills. So after returning to the Pope's palace, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue rested for a night, and the next day, they prepared to go to the martial soul mimicry training field of the Wuhan Hall. The mimicry training field allows soul masters to practice their martial souls in the soul ring that suits them best, which can play a very good auxiliary role. As the largest soul master force on the continent, the Wuhan Hall has too many mimicry training fields and many types. It can provide different types of martial soul training. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue chose a simulated training field that best suited them, and prepared to use it for a long time. Although it would be a little effective to study martial soul fusion skills in a simulated training field, the most important thing is that it is quiet, no one will disturb you, you can eat, drink, defecate and urinate here, you don't need to go out, you can practice directly until you master the martial soul fusion skills. At this moment, the two of them have booked a martial soul simulated training field, and no one is allowed to enter. Let's sit down. Yeah. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue found a seat and sat down. Although the martial souls of the two people have reached 100%, they did not study blindly. Before coming, they had already consulted several elders of the Wuhan Hall who mastered the martial soul fusion skills. They are Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo, who have a very strong control fusion skill called the bipolar static field. And the two great elders, Qian Douluo and Qian Douluo, also mastered a very strong martial soul fusion skill. So now Chu Ye and Qian Renxue have understood how to study the martial soul fusion technique. The three basic elements of the martial soul fusion technique are the compatibility of the martial souls, mutual understanding, and understanding of each other's martial souls. We already have these three basic elements. Now we just need to try to fuse the martial souls and finally study the moves. 2 steps. 1. The martial soul fusion achieves the best stability, and 2. Develops the fusion technique. Zhuye, let's try it now, Chu Ye said. Come on. Qian Renxue was very excited. Come on. The two released their own martial souls at the same time, and then their bodies pressed against each other, and tried to fuse the martial souls first according to the methods they learned. Unfortunately, it didn't work the first time. But Chu Ye and Qian Renxue didn't lose heart. They knew that it didn't mean that the martial soul compatibility was 100%, and they couldn't just fuse if they wanted to. There are still many skills and processes involved, which require great tacit understanding and cooperation to run in little by little. Come again. The two continued to try, failed again and again, and tried again and again. Instead of being hit, they became more and more excited as they practiced, because they could clearly feel the progress of the martial soul fusion. In just 2 days, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's martial spirits have been perfectly integrated, and the stability has reached 60%. According to Douluo, as long as the stability reaches 80%, the next fusion technique can be studied. Of course, stability also determines the stability of the fusion technique, so Chu Ye and Qian Renxue plan to directly increase it to 100% stability. And with the 100% martial spirit compatibility, this is easy to do. Time passed day by day. On the 3rd day, the martial spirit fusion stability was 80%. On the 4th day, the martial spirit fusion stability was 90%. On the 5th day, the martial spirit fusion stability was 100%. It only took 5 days for Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's martial spirits to be perfectly integrated and achieve 100% stability. Great. We finally did it, Chu Ye. Qian Renxue excitedly took Chu Ye's arm. "Ha, we have only completed the first step. The real difficulty is to research the fusion technique and perform it perfectly." Chu Ye was also very excited. He was quite satisfied with this progress. "It's okay, we still have 10 months." Qian Renxue was very optimistic. "Ha, you're right, we still have a lot of time, but we can't relax. Now let's try to study the fusion technique." Okay. The two raised their fighting spirit again. Through the fusion of martial souls in the past few days, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue have actually understood the main core point of the fusion technique research and development. That is the spirit rings of both parties. Breaking up the spirit rings of two people, mixing, matching, or even putting all the spirit rings of two people on one martial soul, these are all things that can be done after the fusion of martial souls. Chapter 46 Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's Soul Fusion Technique. The core of the fusion skill is the use of each other's soul rings and martial souls. In simple terms, after reaching the state of martial soul fusion, the soul rings of the two people are shared. You can put all the soul rings of the angel martial soul on the sword of gods and demons, add the soul rings that come with the sword of gods and demons, and then all the soul rings merge into a force to form a new skill, which is released with the sword of gods and demons as the main carrier. Similarly, attach all the soul rings to the angel martial soul and release it with the angel martial soul as the main carrier. The fusion skills of different martial soul carriers are different and the power is also different. Or it is a mix of soul rings, such as putting a few soul rings of angel martial souls on the sword of gods and demons, and the angel martial soul also puts a few soul rings of the sword of gods and demons, with the two martial souls as two separate carriers, and finally the energy formed by the fusion is released at the same time. Or all the soul rings are put on the angel martial soul and the sword of gods and demons martial soul, and the two martial souls are combined into one to form a carrier and released. Or, take a soul ring as the core, then fuse the energy of other soul rings into this core soul ring, and finally choose a martial soul to send out, or send out the martial soul carrier that is combined into one. In short, it is like this: put it on and off, mix it up, match this with that, match that with this. There are many directions to go, and you can study it. But the actual operation is not so simple. There are many steps and processes, as well as the ability of the operator, martial soul control, and various details to control multiple factors. Moreover, not every direction is feasible. Among all the martial soul fusion skills currently known on the mainland, most of them are these two directions. The first is to put all soul rings on the martial soul carrier that is combined into one. For example, Zhu King and Daimu Eyes Never White Tiger, Shiyu and Dulian as Charm. This direction is biased towards two bodies and one, becoming a powerful creature or something, fighting as a whole. The second is to put all soul rings on one martial soul, one as the leading and the other as the auxiliary. Proportion. Yuan Feng Xiaoshan's Feng Nine Heavens Two-Headed Wolf, the Golden Triangle Golden Holy Dragon, and Xue Binja and Zuo's Ice Phoenix, all take one side as the leader, and this type tends to be attack skills, and fuses an object, or a one-time attack of a beast partner. These two types are also the easiest to research, so Chu Ye and Qian Renxue will start from these two directions. After the two of them had a careful discussion, Chu Ye said, "Zwaya, let's try first, and study the fusion skills dominated by a single martial soul." "Okay, then mainly use your god and demon sword martial soul, or my six-winged angel martial soul?" Qian Renxue asked. "Both are fine." Chu Ye didn't care. "Let us still take your god and demon sword martial soul as the leader. Both of us are god-level martial souls, but my martial soul has not evolved into six wings. At present, it seems that yours is stronger, and the martial soul fusion skills developed should also have a stronger lethality." Qian Renxue analyzed it. "That makes sense, let's get started." "Okay. Come on." Martial soul fusion. The soul rings of the two began to be released at the same time, and Qian Renxue's 4 soul rings began to attach to the sword of gods and demons. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue both felt that the sword of gods and demons had given them new energy and power, but they didn't have time to feel it or study it, and the fusion state of the two could not support the active release. Day after day, the two began to try and study. Finally, after a month, a terrifying force was released from the two of them at the same time. Boom! This surprised Chu Ye and Qian Renxue. This was the initial state of the martial soul fusion technique, which means that the two have successfully found a precise direction. As long as they move forward along this precise route, they will definitely master a martial soul fusion technique. No longer like before, groping without a clear target direction. Zwaya, do you remember the opportunity and feeling just now? Chu Ye looked excited. Yeah, I remember it. Qian Renxue was also very excited. Well, now we will go in this direction and study it in depth. Yes. Another month later. This time, the two have formed the real power of the martial soul fusion skill and released it. Success. Chu Ye. We succeeded. Qian Renxue was extremely excited and threw herself into Chu Ye's arms, jumping up and down. Chu Ye was also very excited. He tried to control his emotions and smiled. I didn't expect that it only took us more than 2 months to research the martial soul fusion skill. The 100% compatibility is really not covered. Yes. Chu Ye, now let's give our martial soul fusion skill a name. What should it be called? Recalling the skill form released by the martial soul fusion skill just now, and the state picture of the fusion of the two martial souls. Chu Ye quickly came up with an idea. Let's call it Angel Demon God Destroyer, how about that? The name is a bit lame. If you have a good idea, please leave a message. Okay. That's it. Now the fusion skill has been formed, but I feel that its power is more than that. Let's continue to try to increase the power of Angel Demon Destroyer to the maximum we can do. Another month passed. The two of them have almost increased the power of Angel Demon Destroyer to the strongest that can be achieved in the current state. The martial soul fusion skill will become stronger as the soul master's soul power and strength increase, but at the current level, the power of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's fusion skill has exceeded the power of the 6th soul skill of an ordinary title Douluo. Even a soul cent level powerhouse may be killed instantly. Chu Ye couldn't imagine how strong they would be when their soul power increased by dozens of levels in the future. Chu Ye, there are still 7 months before we fight Snake Spear Douluo. Should we make another martial soul fusion skill? Chu Ye smiled evilly. Qian Renxue also laughed evilly. Okay. This time, let's make a two-body one type. That's what I meant. So, the two began to study the martial soul fusion technique in a new direction. Unknowingly, half a year later, Qian Renxue's soul power was level 44, and Chu Ye's soul power was at the peak of level 29. They had already developed another martial soul fusion technique of 2 bodies and 1 person, called God Demon Angel. These 2 martial soul fusion techniques have become their strongest killer moves. Now Chu Ye and Qian Renxue have absolute confidence in facing the battle with Snake Spear Douluo in a month. Chu Ye, when the time comes, we will use our martial soul fusion technique to amaze the audience. I'm looking forward to that moment. The two looked at each other, and there was a determination to win on their faces. In the next few days, Qian Renxue began to help Chu Ye break through level 30 with all her strength. About 10 days later, Chu Ye's soul power successfully broke through level 30. At the same time, the voice of the system sounded again in Chu Ye's mind. Chapter 47 Reward. The Wings of the Dragon God, the Golden Dragon King. The Silver Dragon King. It is detected that your soul power has reached level 30. The conditions of Task 3 have been met. The reward is 50,000-year-old soul bone, Dragon God Wings. Introduction to Dragon God Wings. This soul bone comes from the early days of the God Realm, the first generation of soul beasts, the ancestor of the Dragon Clan, the strongest of the Dragon Clan, the top god, and the wings of the King of Gods, the Dragon God. Effect Introduction. The 50,000-year-old Dragon God Wings are currently in a sealed state and have not awakened their true power. They are not much different from ordinary 10,000-year-old soul bones. The additional abilities are flight, body amplification effects, and water, fire, earth, wind, light, darkness, space, time, and stability. The 9 attribute amplification effects and resistance effects. The Dragon God Wings can evolve. As the host's soul power and strength increase, the age of the soul bone will gradually increase. When it reaches the 100,000-year level, the Dragon God Wings will be initially awakened. When it reaches the God level, it will be eligible to truly awaken the Dragon God Wings. The Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King are required to assist in awakening Dragon God's Wings. This external soul bone is beyond my imagination. After reading all the information about Dragon God's Wings, Chu Ye's heart is already difficult to describe in words. Dragon God. That can be traced back to the origin of life, the soul beast born in the earliest period. In that era, the Dragon God was the most powerful god in the God Realm, and it was also an era completely ruled by beast gods. Although at the time, there were already 5 powerful god kings among the human gods, including Shura God, God of Destruction, God of Evil, Goddess of Life, and God of Kindness. But the number and power of human gods were too weak. With the development of time, human gods gradually became stronger, and they already had the power to compete with the beast gods headed by the dragon god. It was also at the time that problems arose within the dragon clan. For some reason, the child of the dragon prince, sacrificed his life, and the dragon god fell into madness and wanted to destroy everything, which eventually triggered a war in the god realm with human gods. The battle in the god realm caused countless casualties, and a large number of beast gods and human gods fell. In the end, the dragon god woke up in the battle. In order to atone for his sins, he sealed all the resentment and negative emotions in his body, and then asked the Azure god to cut open his body, so that the good part could leave and the evil part could be suppressed in the god realm. Since then, all the beast gods have gradually fallen, and the human gods have ruled the god realm, and set the rule that soul beasts cannot become gods. As for the good and evil parts of the dragon god after his death, they turned into the Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King respectively. Chu Ye knew that the Silver Dragon King was Qian Renxue, who was currently hiding deep in the Qingdou Great Forest. I didn't expect that I could have a connection with the Dragon God, but to truly awaken the wings of the Dragon God, I need the assistance of the Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King, Chu Ye pondered. This condition can be said to be too difficult. The Silver Dragon King can still handle it, and the Golden Dragon King must at least reach the God realm. Let's talk about it later. Chu Ye stopped thinking about it. The 50,000-year-old dragon god winds, which had not yet awakened, were actually quite effective. They could fly, and they also had amplification, as well as the enhancement and resistance of the 9 attributes. Among the 9 attributes, light and darkness just happened to have a huge effect on Chu Ye's sword of gods and demons. Let's go, Chu Ye, it's time to leave here. Yeah. Chu Ye slowly stood up from the ground, and Qian Renxue followed on his right side. The two finally left the mimicry training ground that had lasted for nearly 10 months. Qian Renxue went home first, and Chu Ye went to find Bai Bai Dong and told her about his breakthrough to level 30. Chu Ye walked alone towards the Pope Bai Bai Dong's office hall. But he happened to meet Snakespear Douluo, who came out of the hall. The two looked at each other and approached each other. Chu Ye passed by Snakespear Douluo with an expressionless face. Just as he passed by, Snakespear Douluo's voice suddenly rang out. Stop. The two stopped at the same time. Chu Ye turned his head slightly, without turning around, with a cold expression. What's the matter, Elder Snakespear? Time flies. 2.5 years have passed without knowing it, and only half a month is left. So? Chu Ye said calmly. At first, I didn't think you were qualified to stand in front of me and fight me, but you exceeded my expectations. I have to admit that you are excellent, but you will stop here as far as the young master is concerned. Snakespear said confidently. But Chu Ye's face showed a more confident self-confidence than Snakespear Douluo. Really? I don't think so. Now, even if you, the Elder Snakespear, are a titled Douluo at level 92, you can't stop this. Ha ha ha. Snakespear Douluo laughed up to the sky, and then his face gradually turned cold, and he shouted. Ridiculous. If I'm not mistaken, you should have reached level 30, right? With the strength of you, a soul master, and the young master soul sect, you two also want to survive half an incense stick of time from my hands? Even if I can only use the 6th soul skill, I'm also a titled Douluo at level 92. You are such an arrogant kid, you don't understand what a titled Douluo is. You don't understand the gap between a titled Douluo and a lower soul master. Hectares. Titled Douluo. Okay. Then let me see it. Chu Ye sneered. Speaking of which, Snakespear is also quite lame. He almost couldn't beat Zhang Wudi, who was at the level of Soul Douluo at level 82. He is completely at the bottom of the titled Douluo like Poison Douluo. Snakespear Douluo's face darkened. Boy, do you know what I hate most about you? It's your blind and ignorant self-confidence. Half a month later, I will stand on the fighting stage and settle the score with you for beating my grandson. I will completely crush your self-confidence. Completely crush your unrealistic fantasies. You can't change the fate of the young master. Snakespear Douluo's voice became heavier and louder. You have repeatedly embarrassed me in front of the elders. Normally, I can't touch you because His Holiness the Pope protects you. Then no one will be able to protect you. Having said that, at this moment, Chu Ye completely turned his face, pointed a sword at Snakespear Douluo, and said angrily, Snakespear, I have tolerated you for a long time. Then see you on the stage. I want to see how you are going to crush my self-confidence. I will let you understand that what I have been working hard for will eventually become a reality. You Have to make way for me too. Snake Spirit Douluo clenched his fist tightly, his anger was about to soar to the extreme. Okay. I'll wait and see. After saying that, Snake Spirit Douluo walked away angrily. Here. Chu Ye sneered and turned towards the hall. After calming down, Chu Ye came to the hall where Bai Bai Dong's office was located. At this moment, Bai Bai Dong was sitting on the Pope's chair, with a pile of memorials that she had to read next to her. She held a book in her hand, crossed her long white legs, and looked a little tired. Chapter 48 3 Rings 10,000 Years. Chu Ye's soul power surges again. Teacher. Chu Ye saw this and ran up to Bai Bai Dong. Teacher, you look very tired. How about taking a rest? Chu Ye said, and put his hands on Bai Bai Dong's shoulders, kneading them gently. Standing at this angle behind him, Chu Ye could accurately see the plump and sexy big swing in front of Bai Bai Dong, as well as the charming home Dalu. Chu Ye admired it for a few seconds and then retracted his gaze. No, there are too many things in the spirit hall recently. Today, the teacher has to finish reading these memorials as soon as possible. Bai Bai Dong said in a gentle tone, and then asked with some doubts. Chu Ye, you haven't come out much since you went to the mimic training field. Why did you suddenly come to see the teacher today? Teacher, because my soul power has reached level 30. Oh? Bai Bai Dong's face was slightly happy. Yeah, I just broke through. I wanted to ask you to take me to get the spirit ring, but you seem to be busy. Bai Bai Dong threw away the memorial in her hand and said lovingly, it doesn't matter. The teacher didn't accompany you last time. This time, the teacher will take you. Compared with my beloved disciple, these matters are nothing. Okay, then I'll trouble you, teacher. Silly child, how can I trouble you as your teacher? Bai Bai Dong wanted to reach out and touch Chu Ye's head, but she suddenly found that she couldn't reach it. This child has grown up again. She stood up slowly, looked at Chu Ye who was already at her shoulder, and sighed a little. Let's go, Chu Ye, the teacher will take you now. Okay. The two set off immediately. This time, Chu Ye planned to start absorbing the 10,000-year level spirit ring directly, and he told Bai Bai Dong about this idea. After hearing this, Bai Bai Dong said the same thing that Qian Dalu had told Qian Renxue before, that is, the soul was turbulent. However, after Chu Ye's persuasion, Bai Bai Dong reluctantly agreed. The two searched for a suitable soul beast spirit ring in the Xingdou Great Forest. After searching for 3 days, they finally found a soul beast that best matched Chu Ye, which was 20,000 years old. Chu Ye, are you sure? Don't worry, teacher, it's okay. Chu Ye smiled and signaled Bai Bai Dong not to be nervous, and then walked towards the 20,000-year-old soul beast. A fatal sword, then sat cross-legged to absorb. Chu Ye's spirit, which had just begun to fuse the ring, seemed to be trapped in a spiritual space. The resentment of the soul beast roared wildly in front of him. Submit to me obediently, and merge your power with mine. Chu Ye's spirit and the resentment of the soul beast fought against each other. After a long time, the resentment was completely subdued by him, and he entered a stable absorption stage. Bang! The energy aftermath of the soul power spread over his body again and again. Level 31. Level 32. Level 33. Level 34. Chu Ye's soul power surge finally stopped, and his soul rings were completely integrated. He opened his eyes and felt the power hidden in his body at this moment, which was even greater. You actually rose 4 levels this time, Chu Ye. The leap level absorption really helped your soul power increase a lot. Bai Bai Dong was very surprised and very pleased. Chu Ye's 2 purple and 1 black soul ring configuration made Bai Bai Dong feel ashamed. 9-year-old Chu Ye is already level 34. He may be able to reach the titled Douluo realm faster than himself. This is what Bai Bai Dong thought in his heart. Chu Ye, what kind of soul skill did you get this time? Bai Bai Dong asked. Chu Ye thought for a while and said, it should be a melee single attack soul skill, but because the attack range is large, it can hit many people at the same time, which is also a range attack soul skill. Oh? Tell me more about it, teacher. Well, the name of my 3rd soul skill is the 36 consecutive slashes of gods and demons. It will launch 36 consecutive attacks on the enemy from various angles, and each change of position is within 10 meters, which means that within this distance is my combo range, and as long as the first connection is successfully launched, it cannot be stopped, and the enemy cannot escape from this range, and can only resist or dodge. As the number of combos continues to increase, the speed, strength, and lethality will gradually increase. Chu Ye finished speaking. He thought that this skill was a bit like the chaotic cloak hammer method, but there were differences. After hearing this, Bai Dong nodded repeatedly. I see, Chu Ye, your soul skill is very strong. If it is just a combo with high output, it would be fine, but it also comes with certain restrictions, which is very scary. Yes, teacher. With your current strength, most Soul Kings are not your opponents, right? Bai Dong smiled. Almost done, teacher. Chu Ye said modestly. But in fact, Bai Dong still underestimated Chu Ye's strength. Not to mention Soul King, even Soul Emperor may not be able to beat him after he absorbs the wings of Dragon God. If you are more confident, you can be invincible below Soul Saint. It is hard to say when you reach Soul Saint, because the gap in strength between Soul Masters is a huge transformation and gap at the Soul Saint level. This distance lies in the martial Soul True Body that Soul Saint can do. In the martial Soul True Body state, the Soul Master's own strength will skyrocket, and the power of all the original Soul skills will also increase. Therefore, it is very difficult to challenge Soul Saint. After you go back, you will have to fight with Snakespear Douluo. He is not kind to you. Even the teacher can't help you this time. With the teacher here, Snakespear Douluo won't be too heavy, but you will inevitably suffer a little. Teacher, I'm not afraid. Good disciple, it doesn't matter if you suffer a little. If you want to become a real strong man, it won't be smooth sailing all the way. Bai Dong taught carefully. I know, teacher. Well, let's go back. Chu Ye followed Bai Dong and left. After returning to the Spirit Hall, there was only 1 week left before the battle with Snakespear Douluo. Chu Ye found a time to absorb the 50,000-year-old external Soul Bone Dragon God winds, and then he and Qian Renxue worked hard to practice for a few days. The day to fight with Snakespear Douluo has finally arrived. The 2.5-year agreement and the day of Qian Dalu's third request have arrived. Today's battle will truly determine whether Qian Renxue stays or goes. At this moment, all the disciples of the Spirit Hall and a large number of Spirit Hall Spirit Masters have gathered at the most formal battle stage of the Pope's Palace. Because this battle was an open battle after Bai Dong, Qian Dalu and other senior leaders discussed and decided. Chu Ye didn't quite understand why Bai Dong and Qian Dalu wanted to make such a big scene. It always felt that it was not that simple. Now, not only Bai Dong, Qian Dalu, the elders, and all the ordinary elders, but also many senior leaders under the elders have come. The disciples couldn't figure out what was going on, they just knew that Chu Ye was going to join forces with Qian Renxue to fight Snakespear Douluo. This kind of battle was too inexplicable and strange, and many people were waiting for an answer in their hearts. At this time, a heated discussion suddenly rang out in the crowd. Look! Chu Ye and the young master are here. Chapter 49. After 2.5 years of fighting, Qian Renxue will decide whether to stay or go. A path forked in the crowd, and Chu Ye and Qian Renxue appeared side by side. Both of them were very calm, with an unparalleled confidence. They ignored all the voices and stepped onto the battle stage step by step. The battle time was set at 12 noon. It was already 11:30, and Chu Ye and Qian Renxue were waiting silently. Time passed by minute, and with only 3 minutes left, Snakespear Douluo still hadn't appeared. What's going on? Why hasn't Snakespear Douluo come yet? I don't know. Just as everyone was discussing, a golden spear suddenly appeared in the sky. Look. That's Elder Snakespear, he's here. The spear broke through the air at a very fast speed, instantly hit the ground, and stuck firmly into the ground. With a loud bang, a soul force impact was formed. The golden snake spear began to transform into several snakes, surrounding the spear, and finally the appearance of Snakespear Douluo gradually emerged. So cool, yes. Snakespear Douluo. A burst of fierce cheers suddenly rang out at the scene. Snakespear Douluo chose a very pretentious way to appear. Chu Ye glanced at him disdainfully. The more pretentious he was now, the more embarrassed he would be when he was slapped in the face later. Quiet. Bai Dong shook the scepter and the whole audience fell silent. She stood on a high position and stared at everyone. Today's battle, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue will join forces to challenge the Spirit Hall Elder Snakespear Douluo. The rules, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue must join forces to last half an incense stick of time in front of the Snakespear Elder, and the Snakespear Elder can only use the 6th soul skill. Someone at the scene spoke up immediately. How is it possible to survive half an incense stick of time in the hands of a child Douluo? Yes. Even if Elder Snakespear can only use the 6th soul skill, the power of the soul skill will increase with the improvement of the Soul Master's strength and soul power. For a titled low-level powerhouse like Elder Snake Spear, even the first soul skill is more powerful than the third soul skill of an ordinary soul master. Bye-bye. Dong's voice rang out again. If Chu Ye and Qian Renxue can do it, then today, Chu Ye will be canonized as the son of our spirit hall. The power of the Son of God is second only to the Pope. What? The Son of God. So this is the reason for this battle. All the disciples were shocked and understood the reason for this battle. The Son of God. Chu Ye finally understood why such a big battle was made. The Son of God is equivalent to the Crown Prince of the Empire, with a status below 1 person and above 10,000 people. He is also that first in line to the next Pope and will be trained as the next Pope. Of course, Qian Renxue, the young master of the Spirit Hall, is also that first successor to the Pope. With Chu Ye's talent, he is basically worthy at being the Holy Son, but he believes that Qian Renxue, who has not lurked in the Tiando Palace, is the one who has the absolute qualification to inherit the Pope's seat. Chu Ye has never thought about what Pope he will be in the future. Bye-bye. Dong and Qian Dalu have actually discussed it long ago. If Chu Ye and Qian Renxue can really pass this third level, they will be canonized as holy sons. First, it is to firmly secure such a genius in the Spirit Hall. It is impossible for them to rebel after becoming holy sons, right? Second, it is also to give an answer and reason for today's inexplicable battle. Now, I declare that the battle begins. As Bye-bye Dong's last voice fell, the atmosphere on the scene had been ignited to the peak. A person turned over the hourglass outside the field next to him, and the sand inside began to flow down. Time began from this moment. When all the sand above flowed down, the time of half an incense stick was up. Young master, this time, I'm sorry. Although Snakespear Douluo and Chu Ye are not on the same page, he is still very loyal to the Seraphim clan. He is very respectful to Qian Renxue, but when he speaks to Chu Ye, his tone changes again. As for you, kid, take care of yourself. Today, I will let you clearly understand the strength of the titled Douluo. If you have the time to talk, you might as well do it quickly. The time is almost over for a minute. Chu Ye pointed to the hourglass next to him. Snakespear Douluo didn't care at all and looked disdainful. Why do I need half an incense stick to deal with you? 5 minutes is enough. Come on, kid. Let me see how capable you are today. A terrifying aura instantly emanated from Snakespear's body, and 9 rings of yellow, purple, blab, black also appeared one by one. Swear, at this point, we can no longer retreat. We can only go all out to defeat this self-righteous titled Douluo in front of us. Chu Ye looked indifferently at the front. Knock me down. Ha ha ha. Snakespear Douluo had never heard such a funny joke before. He couldn't help laughing and said with great contempt, "You are still so arrogant at this time. It's impossible for you to last half an incense stick. You still want to knock me down? Laugh, you won't be able to laugh soon." Chu Ye said coldly. Swear. Open your martial spirit. Sword of Gods and Demons. 6-winged angel. Chu Ye held the Sword of Gods and Demons in his hand, and under his feet, there were 3 rings of purple, and black. Behind Qian Renxue, a 6-winged angel appeared, flashing with golden light, yellow, purple, black, and 4 rings. The configuration of the spirit rings of the two amazed the audience. All the onlookers were boiling, and Snakespear Douluo couldn't help but stand there in a daze. Fuck. Young Master's 4th ring is actually at the 10,000-year level. Chu Ye is even more abnormal. The 3rd ring has reached 10,000 years. Fuck. Can you just absorb the 10,000-year soul ring so casually? What kind of monster is this guy? Is this real? Am I blind? You are not blind, it is true and I saw it too. Shiyu and Yan were also dumbfounded. Shiyu sighed heavily, patted Yan on the shoulder and said, "Yan, give up, you can't surpass him. Chu Ye is no longer on the same level as us. In the future, the gap between us and him will only get wider and wider." Yan lowered his head. At this moment, his proud heart was completely crushed, and he was completely convinced by Chu Ye. 3 rings for 10,000 years, so that's it. Is this the capital for your confidence in facing me? Snakespear was still confident. You'll know where my confidence comes from in a while. The atmosphere of the battle was ignited, and Chu Ye and Qian Renxue had already risen up with a strong desire to fight. At this moment, the battle officially started. Swear, let's go. Okay. Chu Ye and Qian Renxue took the initiative to attack and rushed forward at the same time. Half an incense stick is actually only 15 minutes, which seems very short, but in fact, in such a hugely compressed battle stage, there is no room for detours and delays. Even if Chu Ye and Qian Renxue choose not to fight head-on and dodge, they can't delay much time. Even their physical strength and soul power may be consumed faster under the constant pursuit of the snake spear, and they are more likely to be seriously injured. Chapter 50 Chu Ye, Qian Renxue vs Snake Spear Douluo. In short, the battle time and rhythm will be greatly compressed due to this limited battle platform, and become very fast, and the battle will not last long at all. Instead of passively defending, it is better to take the initiative to attack and control the rhythm of the battle in your own hands. Bang! Hilly! Snake Spear Douluo did not move a step, and the spear came out. The terrifying soul power accompanied the spear and easily blocked the attack of Chu Ye and Qian Renxue. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and it seemed that he had no intention of taking the initiative to attack, and wanted to play. This is the so-called mentality of the strong when facing those he thinks are weak. And this mentality will become a great opportunity for Chu Ye and Qian Renxue to make Snake Spear Douluo suffer. The two attacked with all their strength, showing the amazing cooperation and tacit understanding between Chu Ye and Qian Renxue, but despite such a good coordinated attack, Snake Spear Douluo still did not twist a step and blocked all the offensive moves of the two. Is that all? Snake Spear deliberately emphasized this point: no matter how much you attack, you can't hit me, in order to hit Chu Ye's self-confidence. Chu Ye sneered in his heart and communicated with his mind. Swear, speed up your attack. Understood. The continuous attack just now is just to paralyze Snake Spear Douluo, making him think that Chu Ye and Qian Renxue's extreme attack rhythm was at this speed. The sudden increase in rhythm made Snake Spear Douluo a little uncomfortable for a while. Chu Ye seized the opportunity, burst out at the fastest speed, and stabbed Snake Spear Douluo with a sword. This kid, what an amazing explosive power! This burst of sword was beyond the control of Snake Spear. He finally moved his feet and tried to withdraw and avoid it. Chu Ye knew that their chance had come. Swear, take advantage of it now. First soul skill, Angel Assault. Bang! Snake Spear Douluo reacted very quickly and quickly resisted, but his body was also shaken back a few steps. Chu Ye seized the opportunity and immediately released the first sword of the Angel's 6 Divine Sword technique, Divine Light Sword Rain. Bang! 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 Countless golden lights condensed into lightsabers, hitting Snake Spear Douluo in unison, but this level of attack would not cause any actual damage to him, and Snake Spear Douluo would soon be able to escape the attack range of the Divine Light Sword Rain. But once they seized the opportunity, Chu Ye and Qian Renxue would not let go easily. While the Divine Light Sword Rain was still bombarding Snake Spear Douluo, Qian Renxue had already used her second solar skill, Angel Wind Blade. Chu Ye simultaneously released his second solar skill, God and Demon Sword Body. Speed, strength, body, and solar skill power were all increased. HMPH. Trivial tricks. Snake Spear Douluo still had a disdainful smile on his face. He took a step back and forcibly escaped from the attack range of the Divine Light Sword Rain, then spun his spear at high speed, blocking and knocking down all the wind feather blades released by Qian Renxue. Snake Spear Douluo was a titled Douluo after all, and at the age of nearly 90, his combat awareness and combat ability were naturally not to be underestimated. First solar skill, God and Demon Slash, Dark Battle. Looking at the dark blade that was approaching quickly, Snake Spear Douluo had already seen their intentions and sneered. You want to defeat me by using continuous solar skills to attack? Foolish. This will only quickly consume your soul power. Second solar skill, Fast Like Movie. ZZZZ. Snake Spear Douluo finally used his solar skill. His speed was like lightning. He avoided the dark blade in an instant and attacked Chu Ye at high speed. Light Slash. The lightning-like snake spear easily avoided the light slash without any doubt. Chu Ye could no longer stop Snake Spear Douluo from approaching. Soon the opponent was already in front of Chu Ye. Take my spear, kid. Snake Spear Douluo's second solar skill is a solar skill that increases speed. It has no lethality, so this move is usually combined with a flat attack, but this flat attack is accompanied by the huge soul power of the titled Douluo. Ordinary soul masters can't avoid this speed at all, and can't resist it. Chu Ye can only withstand this attack. Bang! Boom! Chu Ye mobilized his soul power to resist with all his strength, but how could Chu Ye, who was only soul master in soul power, be a match for Snake Spear Douluo? After resisting for less than 2 seconds, Chu Ye's body was instantly blown away. With a bang, his body slammed hard on the stone wall at the edge of the battle platform. At that moment, Chu Ye felt that his whole body and even his internal organs were in great pain, and blood slowly flowed from the corner of his mouth. Chu Ye. Swear, I'm fine. His focus is not on you. He secretly prepared the third solar skill for me. Chu Ye barely stabilized his posture, staring at Snakespear Douluo with cold eyes. Author. I would like to explain here that in the future, when Chu Ye and Qian Renxue fight in pairs, most of the time, they communicate through the spiritual communication of the life and death contract, so other people can't hear and know the plan. Ha ha ha. Too weak. Boy, you are too weak. Is this all you have? Shut up your stinky mouth, Snakespear, fight if you want, come again. Chu Ye wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his face showing ruthlessness. You're looking for death, I'll get rid of you first. Snakespear was irritated. It's time to end. Your unrealistic fantasy will end here. First solar skill, Thunder Fury. ZZZZZ. Snakespear Douluo's spear stacked quickly with lightning. He knew that Chu Ye had an unknown third solar skill, so he was paying attention to this. Seeing that Chu Ye did not use the third solar skill, Snakespear Douluo did not think about it and attacked with one move. But Snakespear Douluo never expected that Chu Ye's first solar skill was not only light and dark slashes. Snakespear Douluo fell into the trap. Light and dark fusion slash. The sword of gods and demons flashed with strong light and darkness. The first ring of 2000 was already more powerful than the third solar skill of other soul masters. With the variant solar skill of light and dark fusion, the power of this move was enough to rival the fourth solar skill. Snakespear Douluo's face changed. At this time, his attack could no longer be stopped. Get out of here. Ha! Chu Ye clenched his hands and slashed with a sword. Just as the two forces were about to clash, Qian Renxue's third solar skill, Angel's Blessing, was put on Chu Ye in time to form a means of protection for him. Bang! Boom boom boom. The two forces slammed together fiercely, and the terrible power and energy confronted each other head-on at a moment. How is it possible? Snakespear Douluo's face was a little horrified, and his power was being suppressed by Chu Ye little by little. And? It's far from the time now, Snakespear, get out of the way. Chu Ye's voice resounded throughout the entire battle stage, and the power of the light and dark fusion slash immediately began to defeat the energy formed by Snakespear's first solar skill. A sword directly cut Snakespear Douluo apart and slammed him hard. Aga! Snakespear Douluo screamed, his body flew out, hit the ground, and his body rolled on the ground in a mess. Oh my god! The Snakespear Enter was hit by Chu Ye. He actually cut the title Douluo. At this moment, the whole audience was shocked and completely boiling. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.